All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment is here. The time has come to talk about Superman, the film that is all the rage on the interwebs right now because, well, it's apparently extremely controversial. Not necessarily because what's in the film itself is probably that controversial, but just because reboots in general are controversial. And when you've got a controversial filmmaker like James Gunn, that can cause some issues. Or just when the rumor mill starts online and the conspiracies start spreading and it's like wildfire but that's not what this is about here. It's about what the people think, and that's what matters most here at Criticless. So what we are going to be talking about today is James Gunn's new Superman film. We have a new Superman and an entirely new cast to kick off the new DC universe, and I am ready to chat about it because if anyone knows anything about me and us here at Criticless Cast, it's that we like to keep things controversial, and we are heralded for our terrible takes. So let's go ahead and
warning. The following show features reviews from wildly unprofessional critics operating without the supervision of professionals. The thoughts and opinions held by these individuals are not to be taken seriously and do not come from a place of intellectual integrity. This show doesn't reflect the opinions of Criticless or its users. Viewer discretion is advised.
well, folks, we are back. What's up? What's up? What is up, everybody? And I'm just thrown back because it seemed like we didn't have intro song music, which we normally have, but I mixed things up by not giving us the normal countdown video, and I'm just trying to make things spicy today. But I'm glad to have everybody back here in the chat. This was probably our most anticipated film of the year, I think, at least my own. And if you were to check out my list on Criticless, then you'll probably see that for my most anticipated films of 2025. That's the year that we're in, the year of our year 2025. So yeah, that list on Criticless, I think this was my number one. And so far there have been a lot of things on my list that have let me down. This year has been not so great, I would say, for some of the films. And I was so excited for this, and then the reviews started coming in for Criticless and they were really good and the scores were high. And then more reviews started coming into Criticless and they weren't so high. They were a little lower. And now we are down to a 52%. But hey, it's about what the people think. And actually, no, that was wrong. It's a 49%. That's my Friends with Benefits score is a 52%. And that's by 54 voters. So I'm curious to see what happens over the next couple days as more of the muggles start to see this and review it in the app. Because early on at this point in time, it is typically your hardcore people that have seen it either before the release date or, the night of, which is technically tonight because we are getting out of the film live. But before we get into things, I do want to say if you are not already a Criticless user, then make sure to do that. Go to criticless.com, or you can download the app in Android or Apple app stores. We are an entertainment reviewing platform for reviewing movies and television shows and so much more than that. We're bringing you back to the MySpace days of old. We want to herald in a new generation of entertainment reviewing and also social media that heralds back to the olden days of the 2000s. So without further ado, I'm Blaine Andrews, your host as usual, and joining me today are not two co-hosts. There is only one because Chris is probably with his mail order bride or whatever it is that he does on his spare time. No one really knows. But I do have my other usual co-host, Mr. Matthew Verlack.
Hey, everybody. Here. Glad you all are here, too.
And I was going to introduce him as the finger blaster extraordinaire, which is what I referred to him as recently on an episode of The Monday Hangover and left everyone speechless.
I missed that. I need that sound clip.
Yeah, they were like, he's what? I was like, he's just a finger blasting master because
that's true.
It is. I mean, I won't say that. Never mind. Well, I'll say it. Ask his wife. But yeah, because they asked. So they were talking to us, and they're like, "How do you guys get the videos to look the way that they look? Like it hops around, and it's on you 1 minute, and it's on somebody else, and somebody else." Where most of the channels are used to having the little heads and little windows.
Yeah.
So I was like, no. I was like, we just have a bunch of cameras, and Matt is just finger blasting. He's just finger blasting.
Humble brag here.
Yeah.
I'm doing it with my left hand.
Yeah, that.
So
too.
this is all my off
Right.
hand. So
just imagine
just
what
a
he can do.
brag there. Just imagine, if you will.
Yeah. what that other hand can do. That's what's going on here. But yeah. So first off, hello to everyone in chat. We've got a lot of you guys. I'm seeing some new faces too, like Jedi Knight is in here. We got Caveat Ties and Twisted Reality. Who else we got? We got Wine Fiend and Wasp. Is there Doyle Status?
Oh yeah. Oh, Chris Cowles is here.
Yeah.
Chris is in the hizzy.
Oh, okay.
Remotely.
I see. He's remote watching while he's making out with his mail order bride.
I put her back in the box. I sent her back. Get a new one.
Yeah. Seriously. Which maybe, I mean, last week I called him the sexually ambiguous Christopher Cowles. So maybe it's his mail order they them. You know, it could be.
Hey, we don't assume
We're not
around there.
We gender around here. Yeah. And if there's anybody that I've missed, like
My Dixie Rex,
yeah,
El Capitan, good seeing you again, sir. So,
and we've got the genius Anus, who I called friend of the show last week, and he's now known as that. The one
friend.
Yes, a friend. So I mean, because we're friends with all anuses, let's be straight around here. I mean,
we act quite an anus ourselves sometimes.
That's right. If you know anything about the Unhinged show. So I think, today it's going to be business as usual. For those who don't know how this show works, for the first chunk of the show, around the first hour, we cover culture because that's a big thing in Criticless. Because like I said, we're not just about reviewing movies and television shows. It's about culture at large. Because if you're on Criticless, then you know we have groups about everything. We have groups about what people are eating, or where they do all sorts of random things. They talk about conspiracies. We have some really weird groups in Criticless.
There's some great ones, and there's some that are just like, well, did this need to be a group? But hey, here we are.
Hey, that's right. Yeah, groups for everything, as long as they're not, not everything. You know what I mean? Don't make it too weird. Yes, but yes, so we have all sorts of groups, but we talk about culture first, and that we have a segment dedicated specifically to that. Matt, would you like to run the bumper for that for all the olds that are watching? So yes, for all you boomers out there who are just not up to date on culture, I like to keep you abreast of the things that are going on, or at least that was the purpose of this segment. Really what it's turned into, apparently what they say it is me just blame-splaining to everyone what is currently going on, or just random shit that I might be interested in, it's just really weird stuff. Honestly, this segment started to get really weird, and I'm completely and totally okay with it, honestly, because I mean, what's better than watching people talk about weird things that other people are sharing on the internet? Now, Matt, which is the good screen here? Is that the good? That looks like I know why it's not good. Hold on, give me a minute.
On.
Boom. There. Did it
that didn't do anything?
Oh, what?
There we go.
Okay.
That's better.
There we go. I was doing some gymnastics with that intro earlier, so that I would remotely sound like I knew what was going on.
Blaine decided a minute before he started to switch the intro, hence the gymnastics and the lack of sound.
And y'all tell us in the chat, did we not have sound in the intro? Because I don't think we did.
No, Zena texted me said, where's the sound?
I don't know. Who knows? I made that video about 30 seconds before the episode started, so there's that. Sorry. You got a really cool intro with no sound. That's just that's life. Deal with it. So what are we gonna I
don't know what's going on today.
I think right now the thing to really kick things off, this has gotten 1.7 million views. It's a video that I think is quite funny by some creators that I like a lot, who I would encourage everyone to follow. So that is one of the other things that I've kind of started doing on here, is to be like, hey, these are some other people creating things that are making some cultural moves that are going to be a big deal potentially, that you might see around. And so this video is actually made by the guys who made a short film that is on YouTube currently that you can watch for free, called Serial, which was a short form horror film.
Well, it was Milk and Cereal, right?
Milk and Cereal, or cereal and milk, milk and cereal,
Milk and cereal.
I think you're right. So yes, this is by those guys, and they have decided that they are going to create an entirely new slur.
Hey, Kurt. You're such a giblet.
What did you just call me?
Tired of derogatory terms that can get you canceled?
Yeah.
You thought I said one thing, but I didn't say anything.
Introducing giblet.
Sounds negative.
It is.
So what does it mean?
It's a derogatory term that applies to all humankind.
If you're a human, you're a giblet.
So who owns the word?
No group owns it.
Couldn't you get in trouble for a word like that?
Not yet. So use it while you can, giblet.
How do I know an
Hey.
You ever forget to flush?
Yeah, all the time.
You dirty giblet, you.
Oh, what a giblet.
Fucking Jibby.
My brother forgot my birthday. That's a giblet if I've ever seen one.
Always late for work.
You're a real nigga for that.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh,
He's a
whoa.
giblet for that.
What?
Everybody's late for work. He's just a giblet for that.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a giblet for that.
I get it. Hell yeah, my giblet.
Yeah.
What's up, giblet?
That's right. I like it.
Can my parents say giblet?
No. We own the word. They can't be throwing that word around like that. It's offensive.
People crave a word that's negative.
So we're giving it to them.
Truth is, we're all in this together.
So if you're going to be negative towards a group of people,
Be negative towards all groups of people.
And you won't get canceled for it.
Awesome. Very good. That's it.
we're just a bunch of giblets sitting on a rock in space.
I'm a proud giblet.
I'm a 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 gibber.
All right. Right on. All right.
giblet. A word we can all get offended by.
They took it there. So
Gotta get that hard R in there, man.
Yeah, I'm here for creating all sorts of just new slurs that no one knows what they mean. That way, you know, that they can't get mad at you.
Hey, and that's the way to do it. Because everything's just made up.
That's right.
All the words are just made up.
That's
so
right.
you can just say whatever you want and be like, that's a curse.
That's right. They're not taking this one from us. We're gonna hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that reminds me of of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. You remember that? And the one guy's talking about how he's going to bring back the term porch monkey.
No.
And the whole movie, he's like, I'm bringing it back. He's like, I swear to God, it's not racist. And they're like, it's
pretty racist.
Definitely racist. Don't use that one. So yeah, but definitely that's one that we need to review on this channel for sure, because that is one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Because a funny story about that, I had never seen any Jay and Silent Bob anything. I remember being like in middle school, and I had this friend in the neighborhood next, and like it was a trailer park. It was like probably not a great place for me to hang out as a kid, but I would just bike over to my friend's house. And it was just like him and his mom, and we would just like stay up late and watch like things we shouldn't watch because his parents didn't care. And Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was one of those things. And I just remember being like, "This is so great!" And I would definitely die if my parents found out I watched it because I'm in middle school. This is not appropriate.
Yeah, middle school and high school, those movies, all the Kevin Smith movies were the ones that you never wanted your folks to know that you. Which he was like my favorite director in high school. He kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Well, most of his movies slip nowadays. Like they're just not as good.
Right.
And it's personal politics. If you follow that, you either like it or you don't.
Right. Exactly. He started being a little bit more too careful, I think, with his stuff. And that was the whole thing with his comedy, was that it was no holds barred. So
yeah, I think I finally saw Xena. I walked in and Xena was watching Mallrats.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the latter half of Mallrats, and I was like, actually, this is funny. And Jay and Silent Bob are in it.
Right, that's where they showed up first.
No, was it? No. They're in Clerks.
Yeah,
Clerks. Yeah. So my intention is actually to go and watch. I don't think I've seen Clerks. I have not seen Clerks.
It's black and white.
Any of them? No, 1, 2, or 3.
Oh wow.
I mean, I heard 3 wasn't that great.
I love 2. I never saw 3.
Yeah. I really was just Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and I saw Dogma once or twice. And I've been trying to hunt out a physical copy of Dogma.
Right.
And it hasn't been, okay. I've been trying not to buy it off the internet. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I want to find it in the wild.
Well, and it's just hit theater, so it should be able to be bought very soon. Is what they're
because it was
saying.
part of the Weinstein like
release
property like sell off.
Right.
And so Kevin got his hands on it, like you said, theater release. So hopefully that'll be a physical re-release soon, or at least a digital release. You can't even rent it.
Right.
Amazon, Apple,
it's nowhere.
Any like digital service.
It's like unless you own it physical already, then good luck getting your hands on Dogma. So it's hilarious. I can't wait to rewatch it again. It's been ages. I saw it a lot when I was young. But so back to our culture for boomers.
Yeah.
This video has 1.4 million views on the TikToks. And I actually saved this one for Chris, and then I remembered he wasn't going to be on the show, but luckily he's in the chat, so I can show him. And if you're familiar with me, then you know that I think that Alex Jones is absolutely hilarious. And what's more than him being like, they're turning the frogs gay? Like, that is one of my favorite things ever. And someone made a phenomenal video about it, and I just wanted to show it to all of you guys because, well, you need to see it.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand?
That's good.
It's good. It's good. And right there at the end, the fly and it's so good. Yeah. This is what I imagine Chris does when we're not around, by the way. The big juicy fly donkus. But yeah, this is I just imagine Chris in his part-time. He just like Chris.
For the boomers, this is for you guys.
Right.
Get cultured.
Right. Yeah, this is clearly culture.
Or vintage people, as I saw in the chat.
Right. That's right. Vintage. Yes, we call it a vintage. But yeah, so this one hit really close to home. If you've heard us talk much about my dad, then you know that he likes to roast us into oblivion, and I feel like a lot of you guys will relate to this. Even some of you boomers will relate to this.
I just read that if your parents constantly say "I love you," it's a sign that their parents didn't say it to them enough. And I'm just like, damn, that must mean my dad's parents didn't call him a pussy enough. I just read that if your parents constantly say I love you.
Yeah, that's some shit your dad.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. Clearly my parents or my grandparents didn't call my dad gay enough because he has spent his entire life calling me gay. So.
Flashbacks to my childhood for sure.
Yeah. So that one just it hit close to home. But so this is the last one I'm going to show, and this one just really it resonated with me because I've seen this movement happening on some of these other social media platforms where it's dudes talking about not being a sports bro.
Okay.
And you're not much of one. I'm not one.
Not really.
I'll watch it if it's on, but it's like,
I can sit down, I can watch the game, I can talk like I know what I'm doing, but I'm never gonna choose to watch it.
Right, pretty much. And so, but sometimes when you are around these hardcore sports bros, they start talking and it just sounds like absolute chaos.
Sure.
And this video kind of really hones in on that. Oh crap, I done lost it. Oh my god.
You boomered it.
Yo, did you see the Squealers just traded a tight ass for the 69ers?
They're gonna need him after the Seahawks just drafted Shitter Sanders.
Dude, the BBC is gonna be stacked.
Shitter Sanders? You just say Shitter Sanders?
Oh, dude, did you see that Tampa Gay Button Queers game?
Wait, the Tampa
they got
Gay what?
railed in the brown hole.
Yeah, dude, that was dirty.
Well, I'm glad they had that extra protection with the fullback shot.
What's the brown hole? What the fuck is that?
That's where the Browns play.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, technically it's the Capital One brown hole, but nobody calls it that.
Okay, Capital One. Okay, no, none of these are real terms, right? This is all. I'm hearing so much sexy terminology. This isn't real.
Yes, it is, dude. Just watch the game.
Booty Cheeks Laquavius just got plowed in his pooper, and it's the 4th down.
What the
Woo! Yeah.
And I mean, if anyone knows, professional sports are ridiculously homoerotic. I mean, really, it's when you listen to these casters, it gets wild.
So it's funny, the Rock channel here, 106.5, that on the Fridays during football season, they take sound clips from football, and then they do it for basketball season too.
Right.
That are super sexual, and they just like line them all up, and then they do them all in a row. They'll be like, and he fit it right up. That gap is tight. He fit it right in. And like, I remember driving to work because they would do it at like 8:30. So maybe it was like 8. So you'd be like on your commute, and I'd be like, I'm 5 minutes late because I'm sitting in my car listening to sexual innuendos about football.
Right.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. It's dude, this kind of it just cracks me up. Like Booty Cheeks Laquavius is pretty much the best name ever. I'm considering changing my online handle to that.
You gotta change your son's name to that.
Right. Yeah. Which he's still he gave himself a nickname way back in the day. So I joked, I tried to convince my wife many moons ago before my son was born, and he was named Clark, named after Superman of all things. I would try to con her into naming him Dakin because that's the name of Wolverine's son. I'm like, if my son was named after Wolverine's son, then clearly it's like I'm Wolverine, and that's so cool.
Clearly,
So you know, and so We told him that when he was really little, and then he went around calling himself Dakin, or Dakin Muscle Boy. Was the name that he gave himself, and he was regularly asking to change his name to Dakin Muscle Boy. And
great name, great
right,
name.
it's a great
I'd
name.
write that name.
Yeah, I mean, no real even last name, just Dakin Muscle Boy. And lately, he's been calling himself that again for whatever reason. He's pulled it out of his ass, and he is now once again Dakin Muscle Boy. So
I just love that. Like kids can just like house that little piece of information, just keep it in there.
Yeah,
love it.
They do. Oh my goodness, we got a
what is
Mo
that?
Zamboni with a twofer. What up, bruh? He says, here's $2 towards a meal at Punchy's Diner. Oh wait,
wop wop,
it's gone.
So
yeah, Mo, he's gonna come up here soon. I mean, last time
eventually.
He stood us up like a dirty and didn't come.
So did Chris.
Yeah, and
it
Chris
was
showed
a dirty night that night.
It was really, I was all alone. The only person that showed up for me was Odin. So just know, you know, you can play that violin, and I will enjoy those sweet, sweet tunes to caress my tears. Okay, because I was sad.
I'm sorry we hurt your feelings. So
all
much.
of you guys did.
Yeah,
you know?
we all canceled on you.
You all you all hurt my feelings. But Mo, thanks for the twofer, buddy. And Quagmire, I see you in here. I see you talking about heavy metal. I'm not even going to show your comment. Only heavy metal trash talk gets shown with at least a twofer.
Dude, speaking of heavy metal,
yes,
Twisted Metal,
yes,
season 2 comes out soon.
Yeah,
end of July.
Yeah,
you know, I'm pretty excited.
I am. Season 1 was way better than I expected.
Yeah.
Of Twisted Metal.
Yeah, and season 2 is supposed to be more game-esque.
Right,
because Calypso is now actually submitting his
game-esque.
Game-esque.
Oh, I thought you said gay mask. I was like, what is this gay mask that you speak of? That frog video.
It's got me tripping, man. It's messing my brain. That's what happens when you put chemicals in the water.
That's right. That's right. It's already happening to you.
Yeah.
You're on the city water. I told you, man. It's
we purify that.
Going straight to your brain. So yeah, but that is going to be it for the for, you know, schooling all you boomers out there. I hope that you guys are feeling a little more cultured. You know, I hope that you're drinking a fine wine and knowing that you're just a little bit closer to Gen Z and everyone else younger than you, now that you know what's happening on the interwebs, which I've regularly been told I see a lot of different things than most people on the internet. So you guys are going to get to see the same weird shit I do. That's just that's why I do this show. So all right, Matt, roll the thing
on the news.
The next thing.
Let's do it.
Oh, those headphones make my ears so hot. And it is, I could tell your wife turned on the AC. It cooled down a lot.
Nah, we're fancy. I did it.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, man.
You did it from your phone?
Yeah.
I almost asked her on live chat to turn on some AC because I was like, got the wofa mofa up in
I
here.
meant to do it, and we got off track, and I was sitting here, and I was starting to sweat, and I was like, fuck, I didn't do it.
Right.
So, yeah. Luckily, when we had to spend a ton of money to get our AC and heat replaced, they came with a fancy new thermostat. So
right, yeah, no, that's dope.
Yeah.
I was getting roasty for sure. Y'all see my naked lady. Everybody keeps noticing that lately, and that's what happens when you're on a whole lot of mind altering chemicals after a surgery, and you're at a music festival for country music. So you know, you get some cheeks on your arm. And and what was really funny was I had like some kind of irritated thing the other day. It was like right on her ass, and my sister was like, "Oh, your girl got a zit on her ass."
That's pretty funny.
I was like, "Well, you know, it happens every once in a while.
Happens to all of us."
Yeah,
you don't
that's
want
right.
to see them out.
But yes, I see your comment, Quagmire, and no worries. I'm giving you crap. I'll look out for your poem in the future about why I am so dumb for my heavy metal score. But so Matt, I think I need to present a screen since we're doing things.
Yeah, bro, we're doing the news, right?
Yes, we are doing the news. Now, first, I guess I need to stop the one screen share. I'm getting just so good at this, you guys. I'm really skilled. I'm
going
just
to walk you through it now, step by step.
Walk you through the whole thing. Actually, what I'm going to do, this is going to get really wild. I'm going to share basically my screen. You're going to see what I see for a split second, but then it's going to move on from there. So, all right, there's it was, dude, that's like check this out. That's like, look at that. It's windows on windows on windows on windows. We just keep going.
There's something so pleasing to look at. That
It's kind of wild. Look at that, guys. That's the inside. You're seeing inside baseball right now. That's
Can't
what all
tell
the
me
streamers
Infinity
do.
doesn't exist because we're looking at it.
Right, it
there.
is. That was Infinite. So the first piece of news here is that The Office follow-up series is coming out
Okay.
Soon. It has a
Oh,
release
really?
date. It's in
Really?
a couple months.
No shit.
Yeah, this thing has been filmed. It's ready to rock, and I'm very intrigued. We have a logo and stuff here. I don't know. Oh, there, that drop down's gone.
Mm.
So it's taking place apparently in Toledo, and it's following the Toledo Truth Teller, which is a local paper. And so instead of a paper company, it's at a newspaper outlet.
Which is a cool concept because nobody reads
Right.
newspapers really anymore.
Right.
They're
right.
more like online. So that's definitely a cool comedic element they can go with.
Oh,
with
for sure.
this. So
yeah, I think that's going to definitely be a fun thing that they can poke at. So they're saying that the comedy series follow-up to The Office will make its debut on September 4th. So you guys really don't have that long to wait.
Yeah, 2 months.
And you're
no wait.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2
more,
months.
is it
2 months.
really?
It's July 10th. So yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, less than 2 months.
September should not be that close. This summer has
that's
blasted
the truth,
by.
man. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Geez, you just that took me aside for a minute there. So they have a cast now. The most recognizable name is going to be Donald Gleason. And if you guys aren't familiar with him, you will be if I pull up his picture. I was curious if it was going to show it here. It's probably too small on your screen, but this guy, he's been around for a while. He's recently kind of been. He was in like the Star Wars.
Oh, he's the elder Harry Potter or the elder Weasley.
Weasley, yes. He was one of the Weasleys. Yeah. Bill Weasley, and he was we don't talk about
Admiral
Hux. Yeah.
Hux. Yeah.
So yeah, he's the most recognizable name. I don't think anybody else is, which I think is actually probably a good move for this show, in all honesty. The Office was mostly unknowns except for Steve Carell when it first started, and then all of them became famous. So I'm hoping this is a similar kind of effect.
Well, and that's the thing. And we kind of had this conversation earlier. There's no reason. It's the same for Parks and Rec. They had mostly no names or super low level comedians that were hungry for it.
Yep.
And they worked their asses off. They did a great job with both of those shows.
Yeah.
They showed their chops. The writers did it because Bill Novak, I think he was a nobody.
Right.
And then he goes to Penn, be a co-writer for The Office. Like, he just kills it. Like, I'm hoping that's what happens with this show.
Yeah. And I mean, this is from some of the same creators, and it sounds like it's set in the same universe. It's going to be technically like the same crew that did the stuff in Scranton with Dunder Mifflin in The Office, and so it's following that same documentary crew doing this, and they're basically searching for new subject matter, and so they go and discover this historic Toledo newspaper, and they're basically just trying to revive this newspaper, and it's following these people trying to do that. So I think it's an interesting sounding concept, and the fact that we're getting it this year is cool. It's going to be on the cock, so it'll be easy to find over there. And I don't know, we'll see. I really hope it's good. I genuinely do, because we don't get enough of it, and we've talked about it before on this channel too, where or on the show, where we don't get enough of these types of shows anymore.
Yeah, we really don't. It's a strange thing, because there is this formula that works when you have the right people, and so I'm just hoping that this can capture, and it's even then, like going back and rewatching the first season of The Office, you can tell they didn't hit their stride, because it's kind of like a 1-for-1 of the British Office. But after they get to the second season, like they really hit their stride. They were like, we're doing our own thing, because the UK office didn't get that far. Like they really knew what they were doing, and it was like, okay, let's go. And even in the later seasons, like they found a good way to shift.
Right.
They were able to add some new characters that worked, some that didn't, but most of them worked, and they knew what they figured it out.
Right.
So I'm hoping, is Novak tied to this?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Is he one of the writers?
I didn't see him on this, so I guess we'll see. The only people they mention is Daniel's here. Oh, wait. The Daniels are working on this. Daniels and Coleman, I think.
Okay, so he's not.
Right.
Doesn't look like he's accredited.
And apparently Ricky Gervais is going to executive produce with Stephen Merchant, which is good, because they were involved with the original. So he's not on this, but BJ Novak. But I mean, we'll see. I'm still pretty excited for it. I think this will be cool.
I'm excited for it too, because I've been wanting a show like this.
Right.
And it's been such a long time without watching reruns of the other great shows.
Right.
To find something that scratches that itch.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So next piece of news here is that we have a Red Sonja trailer. Now, I don't know how many of you guys know who Red Sonja is. It's an interesting thing because it's semi-connected to Conan the Barbarian, semi-spinoff here. I pulled up an article from Geeks and Gamers where they share the trailer as well as just basically like some photos. And the whole thing is she was notorious for being, this metal bikini and one of these sexy heroes. But like I said, in that Conan type universe. But the interesting thing is that it was connected to Marvel, but then it got brought. Yeah. So Red Sonja is a Marvel character technically, but then it got brought into like Dynamite Entertainment. And then this movie has gone through absolute hell while they were making it. And so basically everybody thought that it was probably not even going to come out. But now we do have a trailer for it. And I am surprised because it doesn't look bad. Now, it does look to be a little more... best way to put it is kind of lower budget. There's not a lot of recognizable faces and names, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to be good. And I'm right. If it turns out to be solid, then heck yeah. I mean, they at least went with, putting her in the metal bikini and all that stuff. Now, this chick, she's all right. We'll see. I don't know who she is. I don't know much about her. They're not going the route of like how movies would. If this had come out in the 80s, it'd be a chick with massive cans and just super curvy. This chick isn't that, but also she's not bad, so.
But for me, it really comes down and it looks like based on the clip right there, she can do the action,
right,
which is more important to me. Like
than massive cans.
Yeah, I want to watch because we know we don't also get nowadays. Lots of like massive sword cans and sorcery action. Yeah, we don't get a lot of cans, but like there are some. It still exists.
Right. Yeah, well, yes. One would hope.
Sometimes, but just
they do in the Superman movie, actually.
Right.
So
randomly,
yeah.
But it's just nice to see something that's sword and sorcery,
right,
coming back on the big screen because we don't. And this looks
cool.
This looks awesome.
She did a backflip and shot a bow and arrow. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, that's badass indeed.
This looks pretty cool, and I'm tentatively optimistic, as one would say. I really hope it's good. So, we'll see.
Which is funny because we don't. I was just looking. There's only 8 reviews currently on Criticless for Red Sonja.
Okay.
And if you just eyeball averaging them, it's a bogus.
Okay.
But I've always heard that this movie seemed to be like
the original.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was like a thrown together, just like kind of shit show, kind of like a Conan Barbarian spinoff, like you said, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it as Conan,
right?
A bit, I think. And so it's just multiple people reviewed it, 8 people, and they're just like decent's the highest rating, and they're all just like, that's not a good movie.
So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully this is better at least than the original. It looks neat. I mean, like I said, it'll probably be in that lower budget type of tier of film, but if it's solid, who cares? So the trailer's out. You can go check it out with some audio, if you'd like. And I just kind of left it playing there in the background so you guys could see some of it. But there are people that are definitely a bit excited about this, and I think it could be a good sign for more of these kind of actually good female-led action movies. We got a ton of them back in the 2000s. There used to be bunches of them, and then they got to be just so kind of forceful with the whole agenda stuff and just like trying so hard to avoid any level of stereotype, whether it be true or not, all of that. And things just got lame where it's like, we had Underworld and Resident Evil and a lot of these cool franchises that just kind of died on the vine because basically they just DEI got in the way, all the, for lack of a better word, all woke crap got in the way of actually making cool lead superhero or like heroine.
Well, no, the struggle also is they balloon the budgets,
right?
Then it's counted as like a flop or a fail because they have these insane budgets because they have to have big actors or lots of CGI or whatever, and it's just like y'all don't have to do that.
You could have made it for like $20 or $30 million. Make it on a freaking strapped budget. Don't hire a bunch of celebrities. Like
let your budget be the stunt people, and you try to do real stunts like her flipping, like do the old school, like use cable network, like a cable suspension system. So that's a real person doing it.
You make some practical effects.
Right.
Yeah, do it real. And so it looks like that's some of what they're doing here. So maybe the movie will end up being pretty cool. And I'm not able to check you guys' super chats on all this stuff because y'all will see the infinite spiral of stream with the way that I'm sharing this. So I'll let Matt keep up with that stuff. And if you guys are sharing anything. So yeah. But yeah, so the last thing that I was going to touch on with the news is actually about the Backrooms. I'm doing this actually specifically for several of you guys who might or might not be in the chat, one of which being I Miss Good Movies, Jeremy. Now, I don't know if he said he might pop in, but he is a big fan of the Backrooms. Matt, have you heard of the Backrooms, or do you know what it is?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, so what I'll do, actually, let's see. So y'all will get a little taste of Criticless here if you're watching and not familiar with it, but we'll see here. The Backrooms was on Criticless. Okay, yes. So there's Into the Backrooms, and then there's the A24 one here. So nope. So the complaint has been that it keeps popping up in here and then getting removed. So apparently that has happened again. This is going to be the new film. But and we have had people review it, and like I said, they've complained because their stuff basically just vanishes. The reviews.
It's the same with Milk and Cereal.
Right.
I actually do now we're talking about it, I do remember what Milk or what the Backrooms are.
Yeah.
And this is the problem with the database we use. If it's a YouTube movie, they are bad about adding it on there and then going, oh, this is on YouTube.
Right. So we're not going to put it.
Even though it can technically still be a movie.
Right.
Like,
which is
Milk and
BS.
Cereal was an hour and like 20 minutes. Like, it was a movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the problem is they have a lot of debag mods, which is why we want to pivot over into eventually having our own, our own database or not being tethered to theirs because they keep doing stuff like this. So anyways, but yes, so the news here is that Mark Duplass, Finn Bennett, and Lukita Maxwell and Avon Joga, I don't know, all of these people, the most recognizable being Mark Duplass, who I like a lot. He got a start on The League back in the day, and he's been all over the place. I actually recently watched a show with him. He's on an Apple TV show, and I do actually recognize this chick right here too. I'm just not entirely sure from
I recognize the dude.
This guy?
No, the other guy.
This guy?
Yeah, the darker skinned dude.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where, but I feel like I recognize him.
Okay, yeah, that's it. So the girls from Shrinking, which I've been watching recently, the one dude's from True Detective, and then the one guy's from 56 Days, but Mark Duplass is great. But anyways, all of that aside, A24 is making this film, and so they finally have announced that there's, the cast that's going to be involved. And basically, I want to see if it actually breaks it down. Okay, so they do have the plot details here. So the plot details of the Backrooms are, plot details remain under wraps about the Backrooms, but it's inspired by Kane Parsons' viral YouTube horror universe. His anthology series debuted in 2022 and has amassed over 190 million views to date at just 20 years old, which is wow. This guy's 20 years old now. Parsons is making his feature directorial debut, becoming the youngest filmmaker ever to collaborate with A24. All of this is super cool.
Dude, yeah. Props to him.
Yeah.
And showing that it's doable.
Right. And to go from YouTube and him to still work on the property that he was working on before.
Yeah.
He's got celebrities involved now. Like, all of this is really freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like, good on this dude. That's why I wanted to put it on all of y'all's radar, is to watch out for the Backrooms when it comes out, because I think that everybody should support this filmmaker. Apparently the original stuff is super awesome. I've been meaning to watch it after it started getting reviewed on Criticless, and then I just forget because it just keeps disappearing off the database, so it disappears from my lists and things like that. So quit being douches over there at the movie database, guys.
We've tried. There's so many, there's multiple like complaints.
Like they won't do like the Snyder Cut and other things like that. Like, they just refuse to do certain things that are just extremely annoying. So I'm excited about this. Apparently it's being produced by Sean Levy, who's been around for a while. I think he's one of the guys that works with Ryan Reynolds a lot, if it's the same Sean Levy, which I think it is.
Yeah, sounds like it probably is.
And Atomic Monster is attached to it, which is also James Wan's company.
Is that Wan's or is that?
Yeah, it's
James
Peele's. No, it has him on here. Yeah, it's James.
Oh,
James.
okay.
No, you're thinking of something Monkey Paw or
Monkey.
whatever.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I knew it was close.
Yeah, it's a kind of similar-ish name. So yeah, this looks really cool. I'm excited. There's not a lot of info on it yet, but the fact that we have cast now means that things are moving along good, and hopefully they'll be shooting, or they might have even started shooting. Clearly production is pretty well on the way. So this is all very, very good news, and all stuff that I'm pretty excited about. So yeah, that's pretty much it for your news for today, guys. And Matt, I'm going to go ahead and once again pivot over to you and let you do the thing. Oh, nope, we're still doing the infinite loop. There we go. Yeah,
Blaine just says that and takes his hands off the keyboard, even though he was just driving.
I know. It's one of those things. But so yeah, we're gonna talk about what we've been watching lately before we get into the Superman review. So Yeah. What you been watching, Matt? You want to talk about some stuff?
Sure, man. Let's get into. So I want to start off with something that's pretty big. We were kind of talking about before the movie, but Sinners.
Okay. Yes.
It's one of the highest grossing like horror movies in a long time. It's been doing really well. Like a lot of people were loving it when it was in theaters. Well, it is finally on
HBO Max.
Max.
Or Max. It's about to be
it's not
HBO.
Max
Well, it is
yet.
going to be.
Not yet, okay. Don't jump the gun, okay?
Right. Right.
And so I love vampire movies.
Yeah.
They're always have, just like Blade, Dracula, all that stuff. So I was like, cool, a new take, highly rated, a lot of people love it.
Right.
And so this takes place in like 38, I think 1938 in Missouri, so deep in the South. And the whole premise is that these two gangster brothers, both played by
Michael B. Jordan,
come back to their hometown,
Mm-hmm.
this racist little town, little cotton plantation town, to set up basically like a bar. It's called a juke. And they roll into town, they've got their booze, and they get all the locals to help support it, and the vampires kind of show up with it. It's really good.
Okay.
It's a really cool movie. It's a very kind of like a fresh take on vampires, but it's very music oriented, which is very cool. There's a lot of like, it's not voodoo per se, but it's kind of like voodoo adjacent is what I'm going to call it. I haven't written my review yet. Zena keeps getting on me about it. But I'll probably give it like an 82%. So definitely the most excellent range. I just have a couple small beefs that have just knocked it down some pegs.
I was really curious where you were going to sit with it because your wife loved it a lot. Yep. And I mean, my Friends with Benefits score is an 88%. So Zena Weinfing gave it a 91%. Wolfman Roy gave it a 60. Nerd Dollface 100. Holy crap. Basham Black at a 96. Dark Forest at a 72. Epic Mike, like I was talking about before the show, he saw this like multiple times in theaters, gave it a 96. John Parks at 100. So like, and these are just my Friends with Benefits. So we had a lot of people see it and review it. It's got 127 reviews on Criticless, which is a healthy chunk for us. So
well, like I was saying, this was a very well received movie. Most people really liked it. When you read the couple people that didn't like it, you're like, oh, I can definitely see why you didn't like it.
Right.
Because they're very clear with what they didn't like, and normally it's race. Oh, like a race problems.
Right.
The KKK are involved, which makes sense in 1938, Mississippi. I see all down there.
And I think with some of those people, it's kind of one of those things where like at what point in time they wouldn't have cared as much, but because Hollywood has spent so much time being hyper focused on race over the past 15 years, people are just, they don't care anymore. And they're just like, please stop. I'm over it.
For me, if it's relevant, so a movie like this, it is relevant and it makes sense.
Right.
If this was a modern day movie, sure, I would have been like, what the? But this is not modern. 1938. It makes perfect sense to the story.
Right.
This isn't like they added it just because they wanted to. It's not like this is like upstate New York and they were like, the KKK is in New York or something like that.
Well, and it was in one area as well where it's like, I had a huge issue with that show that came out, Lovecraft Country. And one of the big things was they were like traveling through the country and it was just everywhere they went in the entire country.
It was a sundown.
Which is not even like, there's so much about the sundown crap that is like complete myth, not even true. Like people have just been making up, acting like there was gajillions of them and they still exist and all this stuff. And it's just like, that's how that show was. And you're just like, okay, everywhere you go, every white person you encounter is going to be racist. This show takes place in a specific place, and it's not all the white people from what I gather. There's some stuff with the Irish and all of that kind of help that to not feel like they're bludgeoning you to death with it. So
and that was the thing. That was where I was like, I just don't understand. People just see what they want to see, and they're not going to look beyond. And that's why I feel like those negative reviews came from.
Right.
And there's this scene. It's probably one of the coolest musical scenes I can think of. And I don't want to say too much, but like I keep thinking about this scene, and I almost want to just rewatch the scene. My negatives are more about the vampires, honestly. I don't particularly like some of the portrayal from the vampires. I don't want to ruin anything. It's not like the worst if you're not like, I don't know, super into vampires, but you're like, oh, okay, vampires are cool. Like you're like, oh, this is cool, they're vampires. That was my only like detracting.
I'm curious if my beef is actually going to be the one that's probably the most common that I've seen, which is, and without getting into any kind of spoilers or anything, or saying too much, is I've heard that it takes a really long time to get where it's going.
Dude, it's all story building though. It's like, do you want to enjoy the story? It's building up.
And that's the thing, is if you are on board with all the other stuff they're doing, or did you come solely for the vamps? Like,
yeah, and that's the thing is you don't see vamps for at least, I don't know, like 45 minutes.
I heard it was longer than that,
maybe
but,
longer,
yeah.
but it doesn't really feel like it because they're building up all these characters. They're not just like going there's all this backstory and you're like getting this vibe for the town. It's more than because I read a couple of reviews that said that. So that was in the back of my mind while I was watching it. And it didn't bother me. Like I was like, this is them setting up a story for the story's sake. It is putting everything on the line. It's showing what it just I don't know. I think people that had that beef, I'm just like, what do you want? Like, this isn't 30 Days of Night. This isn't vampires in your face continuously. This is more like Bram Stoker's vampires, where it's like, you know, they don't show Dracula in the beginning of those movies. Dracula doesn't show up until like halfway through those movies.
They
so
take
it's
their
just
time.
like, it just is.
It is what it is. Yeah. So I'm curious to see. I still want to see it. I'm sure we'll watch it before long. So I'll be.
I mean, it's on the streaming service, so it's
free
like,
now.
might as well.
And I do want to say really quickly, we just got to call attention to it because she's here. We got Hazel in the chat. This is for the users. She made it to a live show.
Celebrity in here.
And crazy enough, you came in after we had talked about you and I Miss Good Movies earlier, and we were talking about the Backrooms movie getting made, which I can't remember if you actually watched that or not, but I know some of our other folks did. But anyways, so yeah, so that was your chat about Sinner. So what I'm going to talk about very quickly and just briefly bring up is a show that I previously watched season 1 of. I don't even watch a ton of Netflix originals anymore because so many of them have just kind of been around of late. But is the show Tires. It is back. Now, I don't know if any of you guys watch Tires. Matt does not understand comedy or find things funny ever, so he probably didn't like this show.
It wasn't funny.
It is extremely funny,
No, it's
and
not.
everyone likes it, except for Matt. So we have Rads and Most Excellence in here. The show is very funny. I worked in a shop for like 6 years. I worked for Honda, and it is very representative of shop life and just how crude and raunchy and ridiculous those things are. This is a Shane Gillis show, and so most people are familiar with Shane Gillis at this point, but he's in it and he produces it. I think he writes some of it, and I think a lot of the show is like improv, but this show's super funny. I laughed a lot. I've started season 2. Don't listen to Matt. He doesn't.
I didn't finish it, or else I would have given it bogus.
Oh my god, he just doesn't understand. He doesn't.
This wasn't funny, and the characters are all annoying. It's not. They're annoying people. I don't want to watch a show about annoying people.
It is a good thing that there's not a show about you, Matt. So
I'm too entertaining for a show. They couldn't contain all this.
Yeah, that's it.
Show.
Nobody could contain it. Yeah, no, this it's funny. It's very funny. It, like I said, is very much like shop life. Most people that work in these types of places are annoying and crude and ridiculous, and that's what it's about. I found it really funny. Actually, Samwise, who might be in the chat, reviewed it, gave it an 80%, and I'm really liking season 2 so far. I think it's a funny show. They've made this thing on like a micro budget, which is really neat, and I am all for kind of propping up these.
I can't believe they cranked out a second season already. I feel like the first season just came out. I mean, I know this is a super low budget, like you're talking about, but like I can't believe that they cranked out a second one that quick.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where comedy can be made for really cheap. And I mean, they can film these so fast, and it's not like they got to do a bunch of stuff in post. Like they're not adding special effects. They're not like, you know, at most they're just cutting out a bunch of jokes that weren't funny, like, or stuff that just didn't land.
Yeah, because that's probably what it really is. It's like, okay, we're gonna do 5 takes of this with different jokes.
Right.
And we're gonna see what works.
Yep.
And we're gonna take those and run with it. And if they don't work, they don't work. And then we'll just keep going because it's all improv. So it's not like they really have to wait for a waiting room. Or a writing room. I mean, that much.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say check it out if you like comedies, and especially if you like Shane Gillis. It's very much his brand of stuff. And there's a whole bit where like he's just the slacker employee, and it's about them all getting bonuses. And he's like, they're all like talking about what they're gonna do with their bonuses, and he's like, I'm gonna buy a gun. And like he's like, and then later they show him, and this guy's like, why is my car not getting finished? And it cuts to him, and he's in the back, and he's got his gun, and he's like pointing at all the other employees, like, check out my gun, bro. And they're like, oh, whoa, dude, don't point it at people. And he's like, oh, don't worry, it's not loaded. Or is it? Like, and it's just
so funny.
It is very funny. It is very funny. Matt just
I can feel the comedy just erupting out of
it is very funny, Matt. Just get the hell out of here with your unfunniness. So what have you been watching that's clearly not been funny or interesting? So what you got?
Oh yeah, Lazarus.
Ah,
Speaking of
Lazarus.
something that's
Yeah,
not funny.
oh yeah, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there.
Yeah, so I forced myself to finish it
Yeah.
because I was like, I looked and I'd watched up 5 episodes.
Right.
So I had like 6 more episodes to go. And for those that don't know or didn't check last week, Lazarus is a new show from the creators of Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, like
Yeah.
the Space Dandy, some fantastic like older animes.
Yep.
And this is his newest thing. It's on Adult Swim / Max.
Yep.
And yeah, there's some jazz elements to it, but
there are parts that feel a lot like Cowboy Bebop, but then a lot that don't.
yeah, for me, this is just a flat show.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the end of the world. The whole premise is that the scientist created this drug that would block pain receptors, both emotional and physical. And so everybody was taking it, the whole world, taking the whole world by storm. There's no negatives. Well, he comes out and is like, by the way, the negative is that you are now, if you've taken it, you will die in the next like 30 days. But I have a cure, but I'm going to hide somewhere and you have to find me, because that makes sense. Because why wouldn't you just hide? Wait,
everyone hides when they create.
Oh, let's bypass the whole I'm going to hide.
Right.
Stupid. But anyways, they put together this team called Lazarus that have to hunt out, try to find him.
Right.
And so that's their adventure. And it's just so flat.
Right.
The world's not ending. Like,
it is a weird thing because we were kind of messaging about it, or talking about it in Criticless, but it's one of those things where for me, I wouldn't give it as low of a score as you, but I also haven't finished it, but I also can't disagree with most of what you have to say. It's just like, I just think it looks really pretty.
It is pretty.
It sounds good. And like, as far as the music and things, and there's some cool action scenes. Outside of all that though, the story is pretty bland. It is. And there's so many good animes out right now that it's kind of like, why would I recommend this?
Yeah, I would never recommend this to anybody because I feel like this is the most vanilla, boring anime.
Right.
Because nothing happened. Like, really, when it comes down to the end of it, nothing happens. This was all a series of events that led to nothingness. And like, it's just so pointless, except to be preachy, because it takes place in like 2050 something. And so the polar
caps
ice
are melting.
caps have melted and stuff.
Right.
So there's like some stuff from about global warming.
Yeah, there's a lot of randomly inserted stupid shit that you can tell that it's like he, as far as a creator and being like one of these legendary anime people, he's clearly the Western crap has gotten its hooks in him, and he's just putting a lot of the crap that people are already over it, and he's putting it in this, and it's just like, I don't care. Like, I don't need this random pointless trans character that has no business being in here, that just feels out of place, or this insert about this one character's race or whatever. It's just like, ugh, whatever.
Yeah. And honestly, if you want to read a good review, don't read mine, read Rev Ramey's.
Yes. Yeah.
He has a really good write-up because he thought he was going to really like it, and he had not watched Cowboy Bebop or Samurai Champloo, and he was, I think it was one of his first like introductions to this director's works.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what? This is a book. He also gave it a bogus like I did. And so we were both just kind of like, man, this is not
great.
It's just not good. Like, it's forgettable. Like, I can't tell you anything that happened. Even then, like the music's not even in, like, the music isn't even that great. It's not as in your face. It's not as prevalent. It's a background. Literally the whole show. That's how I describe it. The show is a background.
It's a weird thing. It is like something you would stick on the background and not even really watch. Honestly, you just put it on like a screensaver and you're like, oh, this looks cool. And
but
like,
you don't need to know the story. You need to know. There are a couple cool fight scenes, like you said.
Yeah,
that thing was they brought in like a
Chad Stahelski who does the stuff for John Wick.
So they brought in like a famous like fight choreographer to help like with that stuff, and it's just wasted.
Yeah, still not as good as it should be. Yeah, it's unfortunate, as Jake Stanley said in there. You know, it's a bummer. But
don't waste your time.
Yeah, I would say, do it if you're bored, I guess. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like 11 or 12 episodes long.
It's not
nothing crazy.
Yeah,
but
it looks good. But so I want to talk about one more thing, which is a show that actually got recommended to me by several Criticless users, one of which being Bookstore Thor. I did actually see him in here earlier, but before I do that, we've got a $10 super chat from Mr. Chris Kaus, and he even attached text because last time he didn't know he was supposed to do that. So why don't you go ahead, Matt, and read that super?
Sure, since this is so giblet of them. My grandpa ass has to get in bed. Love y'all, Matt. Learn humor. No.
Yeah, he does need to learn humor. Also, way to be a giblet.
So
You
giblet
gibbler.
You gibbler.
So yeah. But all right. So I was going to talk about Paradise. That should be on your screen here. But this is a show that currently has 73% on Criticless, which is a rad. Whoa, I made it really big. So yeah, this show has 12 reviews right now in the app. Dark Forest actually also reviewed it, gave it a 76%. We've got some 80s in here. Kyle Off Script was another one, a friend of ours who's been on this channel multiple times, gave it a 90%. Now we do have
Jess reviewed it.
Yeah, and Jess did too. Yeah,
another friend of ours.
Yes, another friend of ours gave it 80%. So a lot of people we know like it. Now we do have a 50% here, which is interesting, saying that it started out strong and tapers off. I think it's the polar opposite. Well, I'd say it starts off strong, slows down a little bit, and then takes off like a rocket. But yeah, so we've got Grizz reviews in here, Scaviola, a lot of people. Shorty Short's been the only one. Now, granted, I don't think so. She did watch the first 6 episodes. She didn't finish it, but still, if you're that low on it, then I would guess not to keep watching it. And Bookstore Thor, I mentioned earlier, who gave it a 79%. So this show, very interesting. I think I talked about it on other shows, but not here, I don't think yet. But this show is a combination of quite a few different things. Okay. Honestly, it's very Lostian, if that's a new word that I'm going to use. But yeah, it's got big Lost vibes. It is also similar to, like, there's a show that was called Last Survivor. There's a little bit of that mixed in there, of like that political drama element. It's got some serious conspiracy things to it, but the whole premise basically to this show is that the president, who is played by James Marsden, he gets assassinated, and it is following Sterling K. Brown, who is his right-hand man and his like head of security for the president. And he is basically trying to figure out what happened. And as things are chugging along, you're getting more and more mystery and little tidbits and things happening that are very suspicious and odd. And you figure out that a whole lot more is going on in this world. And all I can really say without doing super spoilers, it is like very conspiracy adjacent.
Oh, okay.
Which adds a cool element to this. It does a lot of Lost type things where it pivots back and forth between previous things that have happened with these characters and how they got there, and so like their previous lives, or even just like little bits of time before certain events. So you're kind of learning about these characters as you go. Every character kind of gets their own episode and that sort of thing. The mystery is really neat, but I think the show really picks up after the first 3 or 4 episodes. The first one is excellent, and then it kind of gets a little heavy to watch and episodes 2 or 3, but then when it picks up, you're like really wanting to know what happened, and you're starting to figure out this mystery. But the cool thing about this is a lot of the complaints about Lost was that they would give mysteries and not answer them till way later, or never answer them, that kind of thing. Some of that stuff didn't really bother me a whole lot in Lost. But in this, it's like you're given a question, and usually about 2 or 3 episodes later, you're answered. That question is answered, and you're given another one. Or another few questions.
Yeah, it's kind of like Yellow Jackets, and because I mean that's very Lostian also, which is a great term. It definitely applies to a genre of shows.
So yeah, I think that's it's a cool balance for a show. I think it's interesting, and I would say to check out Paradise if you haven't. It's on Hulu, and then also on Disney Plus. I think technically if you have the combination of the two, that kind of thing. So I think it's a cool show. The conspiracy element stuff is what's really intrigued me, especially because it's stuff that has come up very recently in the conspiracy sphere that officials and things are talking about happening in the real world that we've all speculated about. So without too many spoilers, I would just say check it out if you're interested in that kind of thing.
It's probably that the Epstein list really exists. It's probably what the show's all about.
The whole thing is really about that. Not quite, but yeah. So it's worth checking out. I think Paradise is pretty good and is definitely growing on me, and it's getting to season 2. I think it's good. I mean, it did well. It's very well made. So, and cool. I like everybody acting in it, and it seems like a show as well, like Lost, that isn't afraid to they're not pulling punches. So like they will just kill a character that you love. Like
honestly, you have to do that nowadays. Right? You can't play it safe with any kind of show. They need to have these kill-offable characters that you love, because that really like hurts, but also brings you into these kind of shows.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So I think as far as one of these goes, it's definitely a good one and worth checking out. And you'll kind of know if that first episode grabs you, if you're going to keep trucking along. With it or not. So
we'll go. There's one more thing.
Oh yeah.
Zane mentioned it, and I'll just shout out.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Fully Cooley?
Say what now?
Fully Cooley. Like FLCL.
FLCL.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Fully Cooley.
This is an anime.
It's an anime from like our younger years.
Yes. So I have added this to a list somewhere, but yet to watch it. I think because for the users maybe mentioned it and told me to watch it at some point. I have it actually pulled up here.
Yep.
FLCL. So Fully Cooley.
Fully Cooley is. This show is fucking spastic. I had never seen this before, and Zena was just like, I want to watch it, so she bought it because it's not really streaming anywhere.
Oh, really?
And it's crazy. It's spastic. I don't know. So the whole premise is that like there's this alien coming to Earth. I don't even know how to explain it now that I'm thinking about it.
I think it's on Crunchyroll.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Zena bought it anyways. But it was like a month ago, and we finally finished it the other day. And it changes anime styles constantly. Like these characters constantly are just changing out. There's like an episode where like 5 minutes of it looks like South Park for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason. It just happens.
Interesting.
But the whole I can't even premise it with you guys. Like it's like aliens come to Earth, and for whatever reason, this kid's like forehead pops out robots.
Okay.
Fuck if I know.
Right.
But
it's weird
like,
anime shit.
It's so over the top. It's just crazy.
Right.
I haven't reviewed it yet. But
have you watched it all?
Yes. It's only 6 or 8 episodes. Hey, it's
24 episodes, but technically 5 seasons, which is weird.
Well, no. The original show is only 8 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Zeno was telling me about this. Apparently there was like a spin-off show or something. And but the original show is only 8 episodes.
Interesting.
And yeah, then there was that spin-off one.
I
don't know what it did.
It's nestled. I guess it's not considered a spin-off, at least in Criticless, because it's all bundled under the same thing. So y'all can probably find it on the Crunchyroll. So
yeah, I guess we'll have to look it up.
Try and check it out over there.
Because I'll be curious to see if it keeps up the same, because the way the first one ends is just
right.
Like it wouldn't. I don't know. It's a very strange show. I'm gonna give it a rad.
It kind of reminds me. You just talking about it reminds me of Mob Psycho 100, which is one that I've tried, and that was some of the weirdest shit I've ever seen. It was really cool.
That's weird.
But like, also, it's one of those shows like it's either great to watch high or maybe don't, because you're just gonna be like,
yeah, I don't think I could keep up with this show. Probably gave kids ADD.
Right. This is how it started. It spread.
And then Zena pointed out this is that show that all the kids would watch. They'd be like, they're too cool. That there was like the girls that were like, I'm cool because I'm weird,
right?
And I'm random, and I do these things like rawr.
Yeah,
which is very 2008.
Oh, it's now too. My kid is doing
the kids are roaring.
Yes.
Wait, so she wants the green look, little shock of hair.
Yeah, no, it's not great. I'm like, please stop. Don't do that.
The 2000s are alive.
They're back. They're back.
Well, then she might actually like this because this is a very raw girl.
Yeah.
So
okay, a raw.
I don't know. It's spastic. I'll write a review and I want to think about it some more, and then I'll probably try to hunt out that rest of it on Crunchyroll.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll probably check it out too. I'll take a look. But I think it's time, Matt. I think it is time to talk about what the people came for. So I think we should go ahead and
do it.
Let's run the thing. Oh yeah, we got the humpy ladies for you guys. That's the start of the spoiler-free review, which you guys know what that means. It means that we're going to be talking about Soups, the old Superman. And like I said at the start of the show, this was my my most anticipated movie of the year. It was on my Criticless list, and actually, I think I'll go ahead. One thing that I think we have a feature that I think a lot of people don't know that we have on Criticless, and it is, I will show it here, but in the app, one thing you can do, if you're looking at, say, Superman, you can come down here, and if you see, there's a under the conversation, there's reviews, the water cooler, which is where people will randomly just talk about whatever. It's like it's just like a message board to just hang out or a subreddit or whatever to talk about just Superman. So there's that, but there's a third one, and it's lists. And so you can see every single list within the app where this movie is featured in.
That's public.
Yes, that is public. Yes, I will say that. So I have a list somewhere amongst this thing here. Now I see I Love Movies gave one predicting which ones would make the most money. I was curious if he gave dollar amounts, but he did not. So, but yeah. So this I made a list, and it was my most anticipated, and this one was right at the top. I was hoping mine would pop up right away, but I don't see it.
Seems like you're not the only one that had this idea of the most anticipated list.
Oh yeah,
it
there's
looks like a lot of them.
I was seeing nope,
did
actually
that.
The Running Man was my most, so I've been wrong this whole show.
Me too. Running Man, number one most anticipated movie.
That's right. So number 2 was The Old Soups, which
it would be number 2.
It would be. I mean, next to a film by one of our most favorite directors of all time, is hard to turn down.
It really is. Like
Edgar Wright is great.
He's not done wrong yet.
Right. Now, I will say that's the thing that we need to preface before we get rolling is that with us talking about this Superman movie and just the fact that it has become apparently fairly controversial and is getting some flack on the interwebs for all sorts of reasons. One of the big things being that a lot of people apparently just aren't crazy about James Gunn anymore. James Gunn made this film. Now, if you don't know what that means, James Gunn's the guy that did Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what he was known for. That's not where he got his start. He got his start from the trauma films like things like Toxic Avenger and those types of movies. He worked with that company. Then he went on to make films like Slither, which was like a B-list horror movie, which I adore.
That's pretty funny.
It's great. I freaking love Slither. Highly recommend it, especially if you like James Gunn. But then he went on to make Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy was this sleeper hit. People did not think that it was going to be as big as it was. I knew that it would. Once I saw his name attached and the weird subject matter of the Guardians and everything, I thought it was a match made in heaven. I was like, this is the dude. He's got this. And it blew up. It did great. He moved on to do a lot of big things for Marvel. But then people just kind of started turning on him randomly, and I still don't entirely know why, outside of what happened where he got essentially canceled for some tweets and things from a long time ago that were just unsavory jokes about minors, is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But then it got deemed that it was not as big of a deal. He got ushered back into the House of Mouse with Marvel and started making movies again. But in the in-between time, he was brought on to DC and made the Suicide Squad, which was the other Suicide Squad movie. I also like that movie a lot.
Great movie.
There's not been a James Gunn movie to date that I don't like. Now, his Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie is my least favorite of all the Guardians movies.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
That's what I was like. I don't know if I honestly don't love his second one that much.
Oh,
either.
man, I love
the
that.
first one was such a special movie.
It is.
And then they were kind of just like not as good.
I
as
love
one.
2. I actually personally think that 2 is better than 1.
I think
Controversial take.
Xena thinks that too.
Yeah.
I don't agree with y'all.
Yeah. And well, so the other thing that a lot of people hate about James Gunn is what they call like the needle drops, which is he loves to insert music, and people just don't like that old like 90s 2000 style of like I'm gonna base a soundtrack or a movie around a soundtrack almost. That's one of his big things. And then the other one is just the humor, and you're either going to be on board for his brand of humor or not. And then I guess the last little component to James Gunn is that he's kind of an edgelord, and he has this edgelordy nature, and you're either going to be on board with his weird shit or not. I think those are kind of the big threes as to I think why people turned on him. I guess unless you have another kind of thought.
I guess his brothers and everything. I don't know.
Right. And I guess maybe his politics, but his politics aren't super heavy, especially compared to a lot of people in Hollywood. And he's managed to keep them out of his movies almost 100%.
Yeah.
Up until, I mean, really not even that much. There was this tiny little bit in his Creature Commando show, but it was like this little bitty thing that didn't really impact the whole show that much. So I don't know, but there are people that hate his guts, to, I guess, put it lightly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Dole Status, I see that you say that Guardians 2 is the worst one, and you were wrong. It's much better than 3. And if you agree with Matt, it's clear that something's wrong with you. Anyone that agrees with Matt. And on the rare occasion that I agree with Matt, it's clearly just a fluke. So
Room is the best.
Like that. It is the best. Also a fluke that we agree. So, you know, but yeah. And it's funny. I see Banjo still in here in the chat. He was going to leave, and then now he's
morning.
Yeah, now
crazy.
it's 3 o'clock in the morning in the UK, and he's talking about underpants. So yeah, we need to dig in and talk about this movie. Give you guys our spoiler-free opinions. I'm going to try and honestly spend most of our time in this portion because of the fact that pretty much all you guys in here, I'm guessing, have not seen it, and there's we can navigate it in that kind of a way too.
Yeah, we can dance the dance.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing here is to know whether we liked this movie or not, whether it is worth watching or not, whether you should see it in the theaters, if all the hype was worth it, if all the hate was worth it. All of that stuff we are going to dig into before we get into any type of spoilers. So you can definitely hang around, and we are not going to spoil a whole lot of stuff here. So we have not, so that everyone knows, we have not spoken one word about this movie yet to each other. We've not said a peep. I don't know what he thinks. Now, typically, we've kind of gotten where we've seen so many movies together, we can read each other to some degree and know what the other one's going to think. And I'm calling it now. I think we're going to be of similar-ish opinion on this film.
I can see that. We're normally
on these types of movies
more or less aligned in our thoughts.
We are. So
I make boring TV for you guys.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Right. So Matt, what are you going to score on a Criticless scale for this movie? And obviously, you said you did anticipate it, though, right? You were excited for it.
Yeah. I mean, I like Superman. I mean, I think he was one of my favorite superheroes besides Spider-Man growing up. I mean, I grew up in the 90s with the animated show, was one of my like real introductions to Superman. And then,
did you watch like Lois and Clark back in the day?
No, actually, I've not seen Smallville, Lois and Clark.
Really?
Just any like shows about Superman? Honestly, Superman movies. Never really saw those either. I watched, Man of Steel, but even then, I was like drunk as fuck in a movie bar and grill.
I think we saw it together.
No, I was with Mike.
Oh,
unless you were there too.
I saw it at one of those, but I don't think I was with him. We were with some other friends of ours.
Yeah, no, I was with Mike, and he and I split two pictures. So, AKA, I had to picture myself, he had to picture himself. And we were blown away. Man of Steel, we were like, this is amazing. Right. And then people were like, we don't like him. We're like, you're wrong.
Right.
This is great.
I mean, I named my son after that movie. I love Man of Steel. It's the shit. Every time I watch it, I love it. All the Man of Steel haters can suck a butt.
For real.
It's
for
great.
real.
It's great. It's a great
That's
movie.
the one thing like Zack Snyder really got right with DC.
Right. Is that movie and Henry Cavill's casting. The dude is Superman through and through. So I guess where are we at here with this? What's your score? Where do you rate this movie?
Somewhere in the decent range.
Okay.
Yeah, there are things I like about this movie, and there are things I just felt were wrong in this movie, and specifically with the portrayal of Superman himself. Honestly, I think Superman might have been like my least favorite part of this movie overall. I liked
so interesting
the Justice Gang. If you want,
I think that's what they're called.
That is what they call themselves, and they joke about continuously.
Right.
I liked them a lot. I like Lex Luthor. But there's just something about this portrayal of Superman, and we can talk about that when we get into the spoilers,
which is really interesting.
Just doesn't sit right with me,
because that seems to be, even the people that I've seen that aren't crazy about this movie, that's actually what most of them like about this movie.
Oh, really?
Yes, is actually Corin Sweat as Superman, the portrayal, all of that.
Okay,
but you're not an old school Superman fan either, so
sure. And my problem isn't the actor; it is how he is written. And I was thinking about this very specifically. There are multiple times where I see him, what's his name?
Corin Sweat.
Corin Sweat?
Yep.
And
Corin Sweat.
Corin Sweat.
Which is perfect name.
Just like it's right from the corn country.
That's right. For that kind of a character, it's a perfect name. It's Corin Sweat, but
all right. Well, he makes a good Superman, and I don't think it's him. I think it's the writing that I feel like wasn't fully Superman. And that's what like kept taking me out of it.
Okay.
And it was really heavy the first half of the movie where I was just like, this isn't my Superman. And like with my son, like, we watched a lot of Justice League. He loves the Justice League. Flash is one of his favorites. He dressed up like Superman last year for Halloween.
Right.
So it's like one of those things where I've seen a lot of the animated stuff with him.
Which I'll say this, keep in mind, this is, compared to a lot of that stuff, this is a year 3 Superman. So this is it's almost like Batman year 1.
Which is even worse.
You think?
Yes. 3 years into being Superman, and he acts like this.
Interesting.
If you were like year 1 Superman, I'd be like, yeah. Huh. Honestly, I didn't like how they did the whole like intro. The intro, like couple minutes, is just like 3,000 years ago this happened.
Oh, right.
30 years ago this happened. 3 minutes ago this happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a cop out, and I don't like it.
Right. It was an interesting way to kick off the movie. Interesting in not a great way. To basically just give us this text. I think that they could have done that, but waited until after the intro. to literally do that exact same thing. Maybe give us the intro to the film and then say, hey, this is what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
This is, and I get why they did it, but I just don't, it didn't fully work for me.
There's something about it just doesn't flow well with me.
Right.
There was multiple things that just.
We'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah.
So critical
Right,
score, you said decent.
Somewhere decent. I'm not. I don't necessarily think a low decent because I came around to some things later in the movie. So maybe not a 50% either. I'm not going full banjo on it. Maybe like a 60-ish%.
Right.
55, something like that. Somewhere around there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm really torn.
Okay.
I have about as many issues with this film as I do things that I like about it.
Sounds like a 50%.
I think I'm going to be higher than a 50%.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to hit a high decent or a low rad. But it seems like at least score wise, we are on a similar ish page.
Okay.
I am not in love with this movie.
Yeah.
I'm in love with things about this movie.
For sure.
The true hero of this film is motherfucking Mr. Terrific.
Dude,
he is
for
the
real
freaking shit.
Dude. And I thought he looked so dumb. I saw the trailer and promotionals for him. I'm like, this character looks dumb. Yeah. And I know it's like comic accurate. So I was like trying not to be like judgmental about it. But I don't know this guy's name. But dude, that's why I was saying like the Justice crew gang are the ones that like sell this movie. If they weren't in this movie, I'd be like, this movie's like at least
and by then I would honestly really say it's mostly just Green Lantern and Hawkgirl's like
I like her, but I like her portrayal because she just goes she's like fighting people. I'm like this. She adds that like raw element to it that nobody else does. So we get that raw element from her, and then you get the dry comedy from Mr. Terrific, and then you get the different version of comedy
from
like
Nathan Fillion
from Green Lantern. Nathan Fillion.
I thought Green Lantern was going to come across completely stupid, and he's great. He's fantastic. He's super funny. His hair actually works. Like it doesn't.
There's a joke about it. It's great,
and it doesn't kill the character. It doesn't kill the vibe. But I will say, in comparison with Matt, I actually, one of the things I love and that I think that they got excellently is Superman. I think Corin Sweat is a fantastic Superman.
Sure.
I really like how they were leaning hard into the Boy Scout element of like, he's always called the Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Like, and this is a very innocent, young Superman that really hasn't gone through the ringer yet. Like this movie, we are witnessing him going through the shit for the first time. He is very much like does not want to come across as mean. He does not want to be disliked. He wants to just be the golden boy in a way that is actually appealing.
Yeah.
And that worked for me. I also, honestly, it's like if you were a fan of the Man of Steel, or even just of Henry Cavill as Superman, I guess is a better thing to say. Cavill's look, Cavill's vibe. There are moments in this film where if the costume was different, he actually looks kind of like Cavill to me.
Yeah, there's a couple, especially later in the movie.
Yes, which we can't talk about. There are moments in this film where there was a scene where I thought he was Henry Cavill. I liked that vibe of it. And so I don't know, like he works for me. I think that Lois, the casting of every character in this film is fantastic.
No problem with the casting at all. I agree with you 100%.
Every single
literally my score is because I just don't like the early portrayal of Superman.
Right. And I get that. And I think, honestly, my bigger issues with this movie is just kind of how it's cut and how this story is just kind of a shotgun blast of a film. Like it now, and it's not that I dislike some of because the movie, I see a lot of people calling it like Gen Z, TikTok, like catering, blah, blah, blah. I think that that's bullshit. Like, whatever. There is some fast pacing, but I think that there are plenty of moments in this movie where it takes its time and it is showing you things and whatever. It is a lot of elevated emotions and things constantly. Like it doesn't take a ton of downtime, which I get, but I was fairly fine with it. It's just I'm not sure. It almost felt like we did need another film before this one, so that they could have removed some of the fluff from this movie. But there we go. Are we not? Are we still
I think we're
frozen? There we go. All right, we're good. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. And I think we are. It might be raining. I think I've been hearing rain, so it could be a storm. But anyways, yeah, I think that the story is just a bit of a mess. It's got some problems, and I didn't hate it, but also it's like when you're on that high of like just having a lot of fun in a movie, and you're just like, everything is firing on all cylinders. It's funny. The action is killer. Like all of those things.
Yeah.
And I just didn't get that feeling. I didn't get that most excellent feeling at very many film moments at all in this film.
Not until like the very end. And that's the problem with this film. And I think that's even the problem with how this film starts. It starts on a low note.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not spoiling. I don't even want to spoil the beginning, but like,
granted, it's in the trailers. It's the original trailer that came out. Is this movie? It's a weird way to kick it off, and that's the thing that I felt also was odd because James Gunn is known for phenomenal openings for films. If you think about all three Guardians movies, they started out great. This movie, I think, does not start out well, and then it kind of goes to the big Superman, logo, and then it just kind of slowly goes on, and
it was just a bad taste in my. It literally starts this movie with a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
how that intro worked.
Right,
I was just like, "This is not my Superman."
Right,
literally my first response to this movie was, "It's not my Superman."
Right. And
it should have been like, "That's my Superman."
Right, like this is the
dude. Oh my god, this is so cool.
Right, this big heroic moment instead of starting on a downer. I think that was a bad choice. I think that the first 20 minutes of this movie are just kind of okay. And then it does get better, and things get better as they go along. But my biggest beefs with it are simply that just the film is a little bit of a mess. But at the same time, there's like a part of me like, I kind of want to see it again. But it's also one of those that I'm not like, you got to rush out right now. Like you got to go see it right now. I'm like, maybe. Like,
it was cool seeing the whole theater. Like, so the lobby at our theater was actually packed on a Thursday.
It's the busiest.
At like 5:30. Like, it was pretty packed out, and our theater itself was pretty busy.
There was people dressed up.
Yeah,
there were people in costumes. There were little kids dressed up. All of that was really cool to see, and I did enjoy that aspect of it. We had a packed theater at 5 o'clock. Like all of that is great. I'm happy that people are going out to the theaters, and I want people to continue to do that. And I really want this movie to do well. And I'll tell you why. Because even though I'm not saying that this is the best film ever, even though I'm either high, decent, low, rad, and it still was a bit of a disappointment for me, I am very excited for where this world is going, and I'm excited to see what other directors, other writers, and other creators can do with this universe.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of like the Justice Gang, which is obviously the Justice League. They never say it in this movie,
right?
But
And they're the House of Justice, or
the Justice Hall
of Justice.
Hall of Justice
is featured in this, and we've seen it in screenshots and stuff too.
Yeah, and so like that's obviously being built. Like they're obviously building up to it. I'm like, I am excited for that. Like I hope they introduce the Martian, and so we get John, and since we have Hawk Girl, and I'm like, let's do it. We have a Green Lantern. So obviously the Martian is an obviously addition to this party, and then Batman, which I think there's rumors that we're
getting a Batman. So yeah, I mean they're definitely building the Justice League. I mean we need a Wonder Woman and some other elements, but you could also start with these early characters. And I see like Eternal Glory in the chat is saying like he thinks that they should cut their losses. They can't. They literally can't. They cannot restart this universe again. That is insane.
That'll be a death note.
Yeah. DC will be done. And I don't think that this is that rough of a start. I think that part of the problem also is that like a lot of people were so hyper influenced by all of the discourse around this movie. that it was hard for many people to go into it very clean. There were spoilers from it. There was one thing that was circulating the internet that was actually dropped by Nerdrotic about a scene in this movie that was made out to be this huge deal. Everybody bitched and moaned about it for freaking weeks. It was annoying as shit. And it was like, oh, this is a rumor. This is in the movie. Yeah, it's in the movie for 2 seconds. It's not even a big deal. And it's not really even hardly a plot point to the film. It involves monkeys. That's all I'll say. It wasn't a big deal. It was like whatever.
Yeah,
it was
I
kind
feel
of
like that's like a
played for jokes. It was like 2 seconds long.
Right, like it's gonna be offensive if you think it's about you, but that's like it.
Right. But yeah, and I mean, I do think though that this is one of those, if you want to see DC succeed and you want to see them move forward, even if this isn't going to be your favorite thing ever, just go see it to support it so that we can get more stuff in this world.
But that's also the thing. So it's like, even coming at it after watching it, being like, I didn't like certain aspects of it. There are certain aspects that are worth seeing in this movie.
Yeah.
For example, like I can come back to it, but the Justice Gang,
they're great.
Every time they're on the screen, I'm like,
Mr. freaking Terrific is the shit. Go see this movie for Mr. Terrific.
Dude, do it for Mr. Terrific because he is great. And it's just, okay, cool. I like this character. I now want to go look up this character and be like, what else?
He was actually,
I want to see your comic books.
Which, if you want to see more of Mr. Terrific, he's actually one of the main characters in the later seasons of Green Arrow. Really? The seasons that were good before that show then got bad.
Oh, okay. So I was about to say later seasons I remember being bad.
Yeah, the latter end of that show was not good. It was when the CW went way off a hardcore cliff. But Mr. Terrific was in that, so that's how I was familiar with him and a few of the like animated things.
Yeah.
But he was funny. He's like one of those type of characters that just he was played very seriously, but is funny. But there is a scene where you get to see him cut loose and have an action scene.
Yeah.
And it is the best action scene in the entire film.
Yeah, it really is. And it's one of those like, this is a James Gunn intro scene, like intro to the Guardians. Like action sequences,
right?
Specifically, what is it? The second one where Groot's little, and it's this awesome action scene.
Mm-hmm.
It is reminiscent
the
of
opening
that
sequence.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that was this like fight scene. You're like, cool, we get this cool fight scene.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Right. And there was not enough of that I think that James Gunn is really good at. That there wasn't enough of that in this movie. He also just made a lot of really kind of weird choices, kind of like the thing that if you saw, were much on the internet, everybody was making fun of this one photo of Superman up close in his face, and they like fisheye lensed it, and he looks kind of goofy, like
when he's flying, right?
Right. It's when he's flying. He does that almost every time Superman flies. And most of it just was kind of like, like there was no point where Superman flew and I like got cold chills and was like, oh shit, this is sick. It was all kind of just goofy.
It was, and I guess he was trying to show that he was going fast.
Maybe.
But then I saw a lot of people complaining that like, oh, Batman or Superman's flying with his arms by his side.
Right.
He literally flies every single way possible.
Yeah, in the home
like
movie, yeah.
He literally at one point he does arms down, arm up, both arms up,
right?
Both arms in front of him with his feet in front of him because he's stopping something. Like he flies literally every way that I can think of to fly.
Right.
It just is how James Gunn decided to have him fly.
Yeah.
The fisheye lens was a little weird.
There were some odd choices that he made, and I think he was trying to kind of step outside of what he normally does. And I don't know that that was a good decision.
No.
Now, I do think stepping away, like most of the edgelordy, weird James Gunn shit is not in this movie. There is some weird things in this movie, but they worked for me. There are some odd kind of weird characters. There is a character, I'm trying to remember his name. I think was it Metamorpho? Is that his? They didn't actually name him.
They did kind of, but I think it is Metamorpho.
Yeah, it's Metamorpho. I really like the actor that plays him. It's Anthony Kerrigan, I think is his name.
Okay.
But he's very good. I like that character. They actually did when he was in motion and stuff, he was actually fully practical effects, which I thought was a cool move.
That's cool.
Like he wasn't CG. One of my other beefs, I really like Crypto. I thought Crypto was funny. He could have been very bad. He had some good scenes, was very much a dog. My biggest beef with Crypto is that they did not take a real dog and then do both CG and real dog. It was all CG dog. And I think that very easily there were some scenes that could have come across way better if it was just done with a real dog.
Yeah. God, I found Crypto to be annoying.
You didn't like him?
He was okay a couple scenes, and then several scenes I'm like, this is just a very annoying, poorly behaved dog.
Right. Right, which I like. I mean, well, I have two poorly behaved dogs.
I was about to say like some PTSD for you.
Yeah, it was a little bit of PTSD, but actually it worked. It was cathartic. I could very much
yeah,
relate.
Superman has one also. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think that, you know, some of the things that you didn't like with Superman, his innocence, like I think that they nailed that out of the park. Like I really liked how genuine Superman felt. And I mean that he's like saving squirrels in this movie. Like he is just like, he is going to great lengths to make sure that even his villains don't get killed.
Yeah.
And I found that really endearing. And it's also played in a way where like you can tell that we're going to see this Superman grow. Like this is really, even though it's 3 years early or 3 years on, this is day one. Like this is early Superman. And I really like that.
I guess just for me, Superman's always been like a stoic Boy Scout, but he's stoic.
Right.
And in this movie, especially early on, he lashes out multiple times.
Yeah.
And I know he's like in his comfort space and all that. And yes, the comic book Superman has his solitude, Fortress of Solitude and things like that, where he can go and mope. But it's just weird seeing it on the big screen.
I liked
him
it.
like lashing out.
See, I liked all that a lot. Like,
for me, I was like, this isn't Superman.
But it's because he's not really Superman yet. Like he's not like, that is the thing. Like this is year one Superman, even though it's year 3. Like it is. And and I mean, even in the comics and stuff, like they're like literally the scene where he is like there, and it's in the trailers where he goes into Lex's office and like loses his shit.
Yeah.
Like that is from the comics. Like that is a thing Superman has done. Like, so it's not like it was outside of the realm. Like this is stuff that is characteristic of it. We just haven't seen a Superman this raw, I think. And that's actually why it worked for me. But I mean, you know, I understand why people wouldn't. And I'm not I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe upon a review, knowing how it would go, I'd be more
more open to it now that you know what you're getting into. Because that's the thing too, is I think that there's going to be some things that blindside people that they're just not expecting from this, and this isn't. I don't know. There's just this movie doesn't have like, there are moments still to this day, and I've seen it many times where I will watch Man of Steel. And I know that the Cardinal Unforgivables, Pa Ken, we got Jeremy Allen here in the chat. I can talk about it. You know, see, that's why he can't get over that movie, is because of how they treated Pa Ken. But like there are scenes in that film when I see Superman in action and I just get cold chills. I'm just like, yes, like that is what Superman's supposed to do.
Yeah.
There were like no scenes like that in this movie.
I felt that way once or twice, but it was when like Superman came in clutch, because like you're saying, this is one of those few where like Superman steps out of the action to save people. And I distinctly remember like getting like a cold chill once or twice
in those moments. Yeah.
But not like these other moments where I feel like I probably should have.
Right.
So I mean, I guess it's not for everybody, but at least I got some sort of like innate reaction out of it.
And I guess that's the other thing. It just popped into my head. So, you know, I was kind of cracking on Jeremy a little bit with not liking the Pa Kent thing. And there a lot of people dislike that movie for literally that one scene and just can't let it go. There is something that is continuity or lore breaking in this film as well that people are going to be pissed about.
Yep.
And I'm not going to spoil it because we're in spoiler free, and they could technically like retcon this or walk it back, or there's ways that they could get out of what they did to the lore in this, but there is like a core element of Superman's lore that has changed in this that some people are going to have some serious beef with. So I don't
even know why they did it. Not really.
No.
Like,
I do know why. They're trying to, without getting into that spoiler, there is a whole component to this about Superman basically just leaving public favor. And a lot of people, this was in the rumor mills about, like, everybody was like, this is what the movie's about. And like, it is, but it isn't. Like, there's a lot that this movie's about, which is kind of part of the problem, is that there's a little too much that this movie is about. There's multiple kind of villains, but Lex is really at the root of everything. And Lex is basically just trying to ruin Superman's reputation, because that's one of the few things that you can do to Superman.
Right.
And so that was the point of them kind of breaking the lore, but I don't know that it was worth it. I
don't think it was. It didn't add anything to the movie.
Right.
Not really.
Right. Which, and I'm one of those people, like, there is very little bits of lore in many things where it's like, I don't know. I'm all for different interpretations, different takes, like with the pocket thing. It didn't ruin it for me. I get it. It'd kind of be like making it to where like Uncle Ben wasn't what made Spider-Man, you know, all that stuff. Like, but for whatever reason, certain things like this just don't bother me a lot. This one, I was like, I don't know if that was a good idea. Like, I didn't hate it, but like you said, I don't know that there was a real good point in it. So, yeah.
Except to get people cannon fodder against the movie.
right, exactly. But I will say, for all of the worry that people had about, oh, this movie's going to be woke, it's going to be this and that, it's not. Like, the whole comment of everybody blowing it out of proportion about James Gunn calling Superman an immigrant. Dumb. Don't need to do it. That was just like press poking a bear that you don't really need to do right now.
I mean, I do understand to a degree, because I disagree with the people that are poking at it, but I can see where they're coming from in the sense that this is about, like, because that's Lex Luthor's take.
Right.
Is that, oh, Superman's an alien. Now, there are some beefs I have, and I won't get into that yet because it is more spoiler, but like, I guess that's where they're coming from, that in that country that's being invaded, I guess.
Yeah, and they make up fake countries, which is a smart move. Like, and some of that, there's just certain things like that, though, that are like these kind of subplots that are just a little unnecessary and make this movie feel clogged and just like don't need to be there. And it isn't, I mean, some of it might be to like build out more of this DC world, but at the same time, like, I don't know that we needed it in this Superman movie. And I mean, and I've seen some of the guys in the chat, some of y'all say, you know, that like this Gunn really needed to knock this out of the park. And I do agree. And it sounds like even the ones of y'all that have seen it in the chat, like no one's like, this is the best movie ever. And that is concerning. Our critical score is at a decent. I am now starting to think, after seeing it and seeing more and more reviews come in and stuff, that I think that that's probably where it's going to hang, is in that decent range, which is very interesting considering how high the score is other places. But as we talked about, places like Rotten Tomatoes are super broken. Whereas if everybody on Rotten Tomatoes gives it, you know, 2 out of 4 thumbs up or 3 out of 4, whatever, a certain amount, then it's just going to be considered good and not bad, since they're that very, you know, black or white kind of a reviewing system. So it also is kind of part of their problem there, where ours is just more accurate and spot on with the accumulated score. But I do kind of think now at this point that even with the regular folks, it's still definitely not going to get over a low rad, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the head after the movie, and I was listening to people talking about the movie, and there were several people that were like, yeah, this movie's excellent. This movie's great. And it was older people.
Okay.
And I literally heard a guy say, I'm so excited for James Gunn's take on DC.
Right.
And he was talking to like some younger guy he worked with, or guy, I guess. And I was like, okay, I mean, this is definitely hidden notes with people.
Right. And that's the thing. Okay. So what we also need to come back to is that, like, we're also not saying, at least the two of us are not saying that this is a bad or a terrible film, because I don't think that it is. I think that it is a good looking, good sounding, spotlessly cast, like, fairly good movie that is messy.
It's funny because this is one of the few movies that I can honestly be like, it's a decent, and here are my reasons. Like, there's things, because most movies is like, oh man, like, I don't like this movie because of these reasons.
Right.
And I have a hard time being like, I like it because of certain reasons. And this is one of those movies where there's like, I can come with my receipt and like, I like this, this, and this, and I don't like this, this, and this.
Right.
Which
and then those things really stand out.
Yeah.
The things that you do like a lot or don't. And that's the thing I think is going to be with most people, is that, like, the things that you like, you're really going to like, but the stuff that you don't, you're probably really not going to be a fan of. And so it's like, I think like some of the action in this could have been better. I know that James Gunn can do better. And just, but not that it was terrible. Some of the scenes, and like I said, the Mr. Terrific scene, I wish every action scene had been like that moment.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know
why
what was
weren't
happening.
they? Like, that scene was so good. And there's some really fun, cool moments and some cool beats, but it's just, there's a lot to take in, a lot to process, a lot happening. And I hope that even if this movie is not the mega success that DC needs, or that Warner Brothers is expecting, I hope that they just keep going.
They don't have a choice. Like, I know there's chats going on about it, but like, they can't stop. They have to keep forward. They've already gone all in.
Right. We have a
on
Green
Gunn.
Lantern show coming.
Right.
We also have a Supergirl movie coming. Now,
Peacemaker season 2,
Yep.
which is tied into all this, short of like an episode or two or something like that. Like, so there are multiple things. The Creature Commandos movie or live action show, something. I mean, that's all happening. So they already have all these the pokers in the oven. Like, the things are happening. I'm just curious to see, especially when they add a Batman into the mix.
Right.
Because obviously Batman is the second core to DC.
Right. And they're waiting a while before Batman comes into this mix.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I mean, Supergirl is the next up. So I can say, without spoiling a lot, like, you will at least see little bits and pieces of what's to come for the future of this universe. And like we've said, you get the Green Lantern. This Green Lantern is also going to be in the Lantern show, along with 2 other Green Lanterns as well that are from Earth, which has been announced. We know who's playing them, all that stuff. And that's supposed to be a more true detective style show, but with Green Lanterns.
Could be cool.
Which could be cool. So I am excited about that. And, it's with Supergirl. I like the guy who's directing that film. It's the guy who actually did the Fright Night remake. And he recently worked on like Dumb Money and some other things. But like I think he is a decent director. Actually, that new show that I've talked about multiple times, Your Friends and Neighbors. He worked on that. So there we go. Maybe.
All right, there we go.
Maybe. I'm still frozen. All right, there we go. And we're back after the black screen of death. I don't know what happened or if y'all could even hear us. I think the storm is definitely getting to us tonight. So, yeah, but with the Supergirl movie, I'm excited. I think, like I said, throwing in some other writers, some other directors, letting other people get a shot, because I think that James Gunn has been taking on a little bit too much of late. And I think that, like, he needs a minute to breathe. This wasn't his best work. I think that this was one of his weaker films. And I do think that personally, I think that, well, like I said, I like Guardians 2, but I think that for me, this is around where I was at with Guardians 3, or maybe even like it a little less than Guardians 3.
Yeah, I just think James Gunn is getting a little too ahead of himself.
Right.
As we saw, like, I think with Guardians 1 and then 2, he really kind of hit his stride. And now I think he's almost stumbling. It's almost like they've put too much onto him.
Right.
And
or he's
like,
taking too much onto himself.
Right.
Where
he's like, I've got these grand schemes and plans, and they're just not fully blooming. And people aren't just loving them.
He does have great ideas. And I think that that's the thing, is he needs to pull back a little bit, do one thing every once in a while, not control everything, and just let some other people create, find the right people. Because it's clear that he knows how to find the right people. Like, he knows how to cast right. Like,
I mean, I guess we'll see when it comes to directing, because there's bits in this movie that they give me pause for future projects, which is kind of a spoiler, so I won't say it yet.
Right.
So I'll be very curious.
Yeah, well, and man, I'm trying to think if there's anything that we haven't covered. Now, like, we get Ma and Pa Kent. Where did you sit with that? I thought that they were okay. It was no Kevin Costner.
It did not compare. Man of Steel's Ma and Pa blew this out of the water. I was like, this is some backwater ass.
Yeah,
Ma and Pa.
He went a little too hard into like the. I
come look at the box that has moving things on it.
Right, a little too stereotypical dumb Southerner thing. There was a little bit about it that was kind of funny to me though, and worked. But then at the same time, it was on both sides where
it didn't work for me.
Yeah,
and I kind of groaned when she first was like, first it was like a little chuckle, and then I groaned.
Right.
And then it continued to be a groan for me with Mom Paw.
Yeah. Man, yeah. Which, and as we're reviewing and talking about this, we are having stuff come into Criticless, more people talking about it, and I did want to present here. And I don't know, it seems like Kyle off script, he was in the chat. I don't know if he still is, but it sounds like he has seen it. I'm curious to see his review come through, but it is at a 50% still, but we have some high reviews coming in now that it's technically like opening night. So we've got a 71, a 61, a 70, Smallville CK. So clearly a Superman fan here, but still only got a 70. We're not most excellent. And actually even a decent from Odin. And Odin, if you know, is pretty picky. So
yeah,
even for him to get a 45 is pretty good there. Now we got D Smart, gave it a 5%. I feel like I can't give that a thumbs up personally. That's just too harsh. It's not that bad. It's just not that bad.
That's the thing, is there are some of these reviews that are just like 0%. And I'm like, you guys obviously came in expecting this to be terrible, and you just found any reason to pile on.
Right. And
that was a bad movie. You're not looking at any positives.
Right.
And there are positives.
Oh, absolutely. And to say that it's bad CGI and politics and like all that, like, no, I disagree. Like, it's definitely not. I think that most of that is fairly well done. I do understand complaining about the script and how it is kind of just cut up a little bit and all of that. It makes sense, and I get where people are coming from. And actually, we've got Mr. Phil Chan in here, who is also another content creator in the space, and he's finally in the app. So gave it a 42%, and Hacker Reviewer gave it a 45. But then Eternal Glory in the chat. Guess what, buddy? Publicly 22%. I don't agree. It's not a D tier. I don't know. It's just not that bad. Like, I think it's admirable. Also, a Drunk 3PO, we made fun of him during the credits when we were looking at his review. And it's because he said that the movie was a 5 out of 10.
It said 5 out of 10. We gave it a 39%.
Right. And funny enough, everyone in the chat when they made this video was also making fun of him. And so he fixed it and gave it a 50%, which I think is more fair. And I think
it is.
I think that works. And I mean, I would definitely not shame anybody for that opinion, because this movie is not perfect, is not without problems. And I honestly, kind of one of the things here is, you know, with my son being named Clark and named after Superman, it's like I was ready to be like, like, I'm going to get the kids together. We're going to get the wife. We're going to go see this movie in theaters. Everyone's going to love it. I'm so excited. And now I'm like, I think we'll take them. I think maybe, I don't know. Like, I'm not like in a hyper rush. Like, I think it's fine for him to see.
Right.
I think he'll have fun with it. Actually, he might even love it. He might like it a lot more than we do, simply because of how bombastic and the silly elements and whatever.
Right.
But also, he's a big fan of Man of Steel and likes that movie a lot. And that movie literally makes him tear up. Like, he really is in that movie.
I would love to hear his take on this, because he is a fan of Man of Steel. And I feel like this might be one of those first movies where he's like, I don't like this movie. I could see him being like,
he might.
I don't like this movie.
Right. And he's gotten actually more opinionated now. It's funny. One thing I didn't talk about was we actually recently watched Back to the Future. And so we watched Back to the Future 1 and Back to the Future 2, and he was actually very opinionated. He's like, 2 is not nearly as good as 1. 1 is just a perfect film, and 2, I don't know, it's just not as good. And I was like, I mean, look at you,
take care,
turning into a professional movie reviewer here. Like, and whereas my daughter was shocked and was like, 2's great, you get to see the future, even though it's already happened and it definitely doesn't look like that. So
I almost feel like with those kind of movies, it's like Blade Runner too. They need to like go back and be like, actually, the year is 2100,
right?
Not 2000,
right? Yep, that's it. So yeah, I saw Kyle off script talking in the chat, said his review was up, but I'm still not seeing it for what
he reviewed it way earlier today.
Oh, did he? Okay, maybe that's why I haven't.
You're not showing that.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm not showing them, but
I will shout out to Comics Dad, who's also a YouTuber.
Yeah.
He said he was gonna try to do a raid on us.
Oh, nice,
cool dude.
Yeah,
but obviously he's in the same state we are. Not big enough yet.
Right. Yeah. You can only do raids at a certain size, so that's how it goes.
Struggle of the small content creator.
And I'm going to be on his channel next week.
shit.
So actually,
that's
after
awesome.
this show. So literally,
Late
we will finish this show, and I will go on his. So yeah, but we've got the reviews pouring in for this movie. We are at a 59 voters, and they are going to keep coming in. I'm really curious to see what this does as time chugs along. If it goes higher, if it goes lower, what happens. But either way, I think we are pretty much in the general consensus area, even if we're a little lower than some other folks. I still think, like, there's a part of me that kind of wants to give this the lowest of rads.
Right.
Just because I didn't hate it. Like, there are some things that I liked a lot about it.
Yeah, and like you said, there's some part of me that's like, I want to kind of see this again.
Right.
In theaters, but it's not for Superman.
Right. It's for Mr. Freaking Terrific. I want to watch it. Just continue to watch this movie for Mr. Terrific because he's the shit. He's the new standout and is just a freaking rock star. But really, I mean, and we haven't even touched on some of the other people in this film that we haven't really gotten in a while, like that Zack Snyder totally screwed over, being Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen is fantastic in this movie. Perfect, flawless casting. Skylar Gazzato, I've been following this dude for a while. I think he always is great. They hit this character perfectly, kind of being this like goober, but he's a ladies man, and everybody's just like, how is this dude such a freaking stud? Like,
that was fantastic.
Yeah, and they actually do well with some of the like poking at influencers and stuff. Some of that stuff was worked, and I thought was fairly funny. And there are some good jokes in here about one influencer's toes. That was really funny.
I don't know. It's kind of a spoiler. Never mind.
Okay.
We'll save it.
I know. It's really hard to...
I feel like we should just head over to spoiler.
I know.
I feel like we've talked.
I know. And we've had new people come in, so I didn't want to run people off. But there is some cool stuff, like the new Fortress of Solitude. Really neat. I like it. I think they did a cool job with some of that.
Question.
Yes.
Comic book Lee.
Yes.
Did it normally come and go, like, go back into the ground? Or is that...
There was
a couple of things in this movie that I'm like...
There were things that, so James Gunn is a big comic book fan.
Yeah.
He pulled from a lot of obscure comic things and cartoon things. There's a lot pulled from all over, which is to some degree probably to this movie's detriment, but some of which work really well. Like, for example, they barely touch on it. I don't consider this a spoiler. Everybody's joked for ages about Superman putting on the glasses and being not seen as Superman. I don't even know if you caught this in the movie, but it is actual lore from way back in the comics, like OG, explaining how no one knew who Superman was.
Yeah.
And it's actually that he has magic skies. He can look like
I followed because Green Lantern was joking about it, because I really like this version of Green Lantern because he's kind of a dick, but he's funny about it, and he's also an idiot. So like it's this nice like little trio of I'm funny and an idiot.
Right.
It works well.
Yeah. No, I think all of that stuff worked well. I think there's probably some bit of comic lore where I know that the Fortress of Solitude was always hidden. It makes sense because you're going to have to adapt that for modern stuff where like it can't show up. Like if you have someone like Lex hunting endlessly for the Fortress of Solitude,
fucking Google Earth, just be like, it's right here, guys.
You're going to find it.
It's
like
right
it's not like Superman works for the freaking government. Like he's not. And I do think because they kind of tiptoed into some of the realms that Snyder did, where, you know, talking about him meddling in other affairs and things and influencing world politics with him being, you know, technically an American, that sort of thing. I was worried about that. All of that stuff is fine for me. It also was just more plot rammed into this, which was kind of some of our issues there, was that it was just doing a little too much. And so some of that was kind of a so-so for me. And I see Dark Forest saying in the chat as well that, like, you know, about the pacing, and really the pacing wasn't what bothered me as much as it was just kind of how much they packed in there and how much it was, he had to work around all of it, I think.
Yeah, the pacing wasn't a problem for me either.
Yeah.
And honestly, like you were talking about how there was a lot packed in here. I didn't have any problems with that.
Really?
I was just like, cool, this is a full movie.
It's busy.
It's things are happening
all
the whole time. Maybe some of the things I don't particularly like.
Right.
But that's nothing to do with how much is going on.
And maybe I wonder
written.
to some degree if though some of those things you weren't as crazy about what was going on, if they were removed, you know, because he is biting off a lot, and you're not. That's the problem, is that you're only getting little bits and pieces of all these different things that are going on, all
Right,
these different
right,
characters, all these different subplots, where it's like, if you had more meat on some of these other stories, then maybe you would have been more on board with all of them. Right.
Yeah. Maybe if they streamlined it a little bit.
Right. Right.
Because there were some things that definitely just kind of fell off.
Right.
Now that I think about it.
And yeah. And we haven't really gotten deep into Lex either. Nicholas Hoult, freaking fantastic. I thought he was great. I love Nicholas Hoult. He did a great job as Lex Luthor. This Lex Luthor, you're gonna hate his freaking guts. He is a sack of shit. Like,
perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
he is. He is the perfect hateable Lex. I've seen people complaining, like calling him a whiny bitch and all this stuff, but it's like, I honestly found a lot of parallels to like modern tech billionaires and stuff. Like, it worked for me. It worked in our world for me as far as how someone like this would view a powerful person like that, who's like not some super genius, but is getting all of the spotlight. And I think that bit actually worked as well. So
for me, it was more his motive that was like annoying.
Right. The motive that Lex has.
Yeah, like Lex's motive.
It was just to destroy Superman, which is always his motive.
Yeah, but normally his motive is like world domination.
Right.
Via his like contacts.
Which is still kind of what this was. And if we're not talking, this is early Lex as well.
Yeah.
If it's early Superman, it's early Lex.
It's not early either one, but sure.
It is. It's only 3 years in.
If you're 3 years into a job, you're considered you're good at your job.
Maybe.
I'm just telling you what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's kind of one of those things. I also think if you're really into comic booky, like Saturday morning cartoons, it's that. This is a jam-packed Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's very cartoony. This is the most cartoony Superman we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
And I think that to some people that might be to its detriment, especially coming off of all of the super serious superhero movies. There are amplified personas, amplified, very cartoony, villainous people, or the opposite, very heroic, very, I don't want to say hammy because they work, but like just very superhero-y superheroes.
Yeah.
And which is why we were talking about the kids might actually like this a lot.
Yeah, and I think there are elements. So it's funny, I got home and Z was like, "Oh, do you think you can take Riggs to see this?" I was like, "Nope."
Yeah, no.
Nope.
Yeah.
I was almost like knee-jerk reaction was like maybe like teenagers. And she's like, "Teenagers, really?" And I was like, "Well, okay,
No.
maybe like 9-10-year-olds."
I think that's fine.
But not anything earlier than that, I don't think.
Which, and I will say, like, yeah, because there were a few little, there's definitely some scary moments. There's like a full-on murder in a scene.
Well, yeah, there's a full-on murder, but there are also like there's some creatures that are horror worthy in this, like,
right.
They're I don't want to like detail anything out too much, but there are some fucking creepy creatures.
Right.
That they never explain. They're just there. No explanation at all. Just creepy.
Yeah, there are. And because that's the thing, they're building out this universe, this world, and they're just kind of like, we're not going to explain every last thing. You might just be like, what is that weird thing I just saw?
Yeah.
What is this weird creature? What is this weird whatever?
Yeah.
It's just, they're just, you're in a world where superheroes, villains, alternate dimensional creatures, all of this stuff has been going on for a while. And they're like, hey, we're not going to sit here and explain everything to you. It exists. This is the weird shit happens. So, yeah. I mean, it works for me. I didn't hate it, but you know, there are definitely going to be some things. And watching it, like there were moments where I was like, "Oh, okay, this is some of the stuff people didn't like. Like this is like those things when they happened. I was like, these are things that people are going to have issues with."
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think we're going to go ahead, touch on spoilers for just a minute, just really quickly, just kind of the big ones, and then
Blaine says quickly.
No,
I got it. I got a list.
Oh gosh. All right. Yeah. So we'll get into spoilers. So everybody that hasn't seen the movie, bail out. We're talking spoilers, and for everybody that has been here and is leaving, really glad to have you in the chat. Thanks everyone. And we will be back next week talking about something. I don't think it's Fantastic Four. That's 2 weeks away.
It's 2 weeks. I don't know what's next.
So I don't know. We might, in all honesty, there's a strong chance we will review something that can be, so that'll be the easiest way for me to see.
I think when you bite the bullet and do something that's critically loved.
Right. We've
been avoiding it. Literally the last like 5 times we've done this has been critically hated.
If you say Star Wars, I'm going to lose my shit.
There is this movie. I just want to trash talk
Star Wars. Last Jedi. You want to trash talk The Last Jedi?
Yeah, I do.
I know.
I think it would make great TV.
Yeah,
we'll let the people vote.
Yeah, we'll let all you guys.
Blaine has a list.
I do.
On his profile, that are critically loved, audience hated.
Yes.
Everybody needs to go on there on
Yep.
criticless.com for those who haven't heard our spiel yet and find Blaine and then go vote what movie we should review next week. Just leave it in the comment section. Just comment.
Yep.
Star Wars, Last Jedi. So
No,
that we
don't
know that
comment
we
that.
just shit talk the fuck out of that movie.
We should find a comedy movie that Matt absolutely hates
Most of
along
them.
with the critics, and we'll watch a comedy movie.
We already
So,
did that. We did Eurotrip, which was an amazing movie.
It is an amazing movie. We've actually done a good bit of comedies lately. So, but yeah, as Comics Dad said, before you guys bail out, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys later. But on to the spoilers, Matt. Run the thing. Do that bumper thing. Spoilers beware. We're getting into them. Yeah. So Supergirl's in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a spoiler.
randomly.
Holy
and
shit.
dude, you know what? I like the actress.
I
can't
think she's
remember.
so stinking cute. Like
She's cute. She's cute.
so
And then, like, it works for me, except
She's
I
a
didn't
great
like the
Supergirl.
portrayal.
Really?
She showed up like a drunk bitch. Like,
yeah.
She stumbles in at the end of the movie. Doesn't really matter, but she stumbles in and she's like, "You're a bitch, Superman. Where's my damn dog?"
Yeah. I actually liked that.
And I was just like, "Whoa, this is harsh." It was just like really weird because it's the end of the movie, and then all of a sudden, like, that's
Because
not
there's
even
no
kidding.
mention of
That's-
her before that. We don't know that she even
right.
that he knows who she is.
But literally, it's also just a harsh way to, like, I mean, I guess she's supposed to be drunk, and
Yeah,
it's like this drunk sibling thing.
People are making a big deal about it. Like, she shows up drunk. So we hear him complaining through the movie about how he's like tethered basically to Crypto, and you find out that Crypto is actually Supergirl's dog.
Yeah.
And so that's why he's just like, I got this little kid. He just
Which was actually funny because Crypto is just like picking her up and throwing her into the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is weird.
Well, and it was funny because the robots are literally, and Superman's like, oh, that's why he's an asshole, because he gets to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And the robots are literally like, no boundaries. Like,
right.
I liked all that. I think
it's just like the disrespect.
Well, and so everybody's making a big deal about her calling him bitch, but like, I thought it was funny because she comes in, she's smashed, and she's just like, later, bitch. Like,
Well,
it's
it
not
wasn't
like
like you're a little bitch.
No,
it
no,
was
no.
like, what's up, bitch?
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't like offensive.
She's
it was
not being an asshole. She's just like, it's literally just like, later, bitch. Like,
it was just jarring.
Yeah.
That this randomly happens because this is like last 5 minutes of the movie.
Mhm.
So it's just like she just shows up randomly and was like, "What's up, bitch?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Whoa."
Well, and you're
What
not expecting that
just
from
happened?
Supergirl also, which I think is actually kind of cool. It could work for a cool element because it's like if you have these two characters that are fairly similar, and they've typically been played that way,
Yeah.
where it, especially in their early years before she's got her shit together, and there is a specific comic run that they're supposedly basing this Supergirl off of. I haven't read it. I don't know. I think the girl's name's like Mia or something. I can't remember her name, but anyways, she kind of teased the comics that she had been reading, so people are kind of looking to those. But I think it could be fun. I think it could be neat.
Yeah. I mean, it has potential.
Yeah.
It could. It was just, like I said,
right,
jarring.
Yes, it was a jarring.
So
yeah,
but it could be really cool. I don't know anything about Supergirl and did not watch the show on CW.
You're right. Which was just to kind of a different take in general too. Like, I didn't watch much of any of that as well. But so what other spoilers were you wanting to get into?
I did not like the. Oh, hey, first off, Bizarro is in this movie. That's the alternative clone Superman.
Well, no.
That's
okay,
fucking Bizarro.
It's not Bizarro, actually. Well, they could be making him to become Bizarro.
I think it's Bizarro.
Well, so in the comics, Ultraman is a real thing, and Ultraman is an alternate reality Superman. But
that's special ed?
Well, so that's the thing. No, he's not. He's just an evil Superman.
Okay.
So I think that what James is doing is he is mashing up the lore for Ultraman and Bizarro. So what he's doing is he's putting both characters into one, which would work because we don't need 3, 4, however many Supermans.
Right.
Just go ahead, take the Ultraman lore, make it so that Ultraman was actually a clone. They say that he's a dumbass. They basically kill him off in this, and basically there's a situation where he gets pulled into a black hole, I think, is what actually happened to him. So he's already stupid. I think he might just get like jacked up and messed up, and that's how he fully becomes Bizarro. And that's actually what's going to fully turn Ultraman into Bizarro. Is maybe the black hole causes something or whatever. I don't know, but I think he's building Ultraman to become Bizarro.
I mean, that's what I was hoping. I don't know why this weird thing for Bizarro. I'm just like, he's such a cool concept, like this, like simpleton, like Superman that just like is ridiculous and can do these crazy things. I'm like, he's super strong, has all abilities, but he just doesn't have like the mental bandwidth to actually be smart about it. And I was like, this could be so cool. What I didn't like was Lex Luthor being able to like predict everything Superman does on every fight at every time up until the end. Him calling out like B7, Z26.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I get it. Lex Luthor's super smart.
Right.
It's not that he can't do that. I just didn't like that. It was continuously. And this was like Superman was just getting his ass beat the whole movie.
Right.
You know? And it was just like, it's weird that this is how they're portraying Superman. I guess 3 years in, he still doesn't know how to fight.
Right.
I guess.
Well, and he does. It's just that he's hyper analyzed him and knows his every move, and so he's created moves to counter him and whatever. And that's the whole thing. Is it's like, oh well, you know, if Lex actually had like the body, if he was superhuman, whatever, he could technically take on and beat Superman just because of how smart he is, right? And not about the strength. And so I get that it worked. I didn't hate it. I more hated the fact that like there were all these like drone pilots like flying all around, and he was like having them watch the fight and control it and whatever, where I'm like, with how smart he is, all the tech he has, all this stuff, like could they have not just been like remote drones and not have to have like a team of people all flying them? That was more weird to me than anything. That was just kind of like, why?
Well, then you have Mr. Terrific, who does have
has all that
drones, and he has that tech, and he's like, I can do this.
Right.
But I guess that's why they probably didn't do that, because it then does give Mr. Terrific a leg up, being like, I am a drone master, I guess. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. That whole bit of the plot was just kind of I'm not, you know, I'm not as crazy about it. So what other kind of spoilers have we not touched on that we wanted? The Supergirl is honestly the biggest thing. And I mean, I think the pocket reality thing is super cool. It's more kind of DC world building. I thought all of that was neat, and using it to jail people. And I think that idea, concept, all that stuff will be used down the road. I liked all of Mr. Terrific's gadgets and stuff. The fact that he had like his own little plane thing or this UFO, whatever, was pretty cool.
That was cool.
And the fact that, you know, Lois was flying that around was kind of neat. And they played some of that for jokes, and I all of that stuff worked pretty well for me. I can't think of any, like, there are 2 post-credit scenes.
The mom and pop thing, one of the things you're talking about, you kind of like didn't talk about it, and you're like, there's a change to the core Superman.
No, actually it wasn't that. No.
What was it?
Well, it's not mom and pa, but it's that his real parents sent him to basically subjugate Earth and have a bunch of lovers.
I had beefs with that.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not Superman.
Right.
In any canon that I have or I've seen, Superman was not sent here by his parents to subjugate Earth by having a ton of kids.
Yeah.
That rubbed me wrong.
Right.
For sure. Because I've never seen that canon.
It's because it's not, and it wasn't. That's something that he definitely did on his own, and people are not going to be crazy about it. And it's basically that, you know, Lex hacked the Fortress of Solitude, figured out basically, you know, the missing subtext for why Superman was here, and that basically that Superman's parents sent him to take over Earth, essentially, or to basically, it's not even like take it over, but it's basically like, hey, you're going to be bigger, better, stronger than everybody, and they're kind of stupid, so you should just basically have a bunch of kids and be the best you can be, but also basically you need to run this company, company, whatever, the planet, and basically make sure that they are headed in the right way and create more Kryptonians by getting a lot of people pregnant.
Right. And it was literally, I think they also said, like, stop, if anybody tries to stop you, like, get rid of them. Literally implying, like, you should kill everybody like that tries to stop you from taking over the planet. And I was like, this just rubs me so wrong.
Right.
I've never, like, his parents were always loved, like his Kryptonian parents were
And
always
the ones in
loving,
Man of Steel are so good, and all the Kryptonian stuff in Man of Steel is so damn good. It's one of the things that makes that movie phenomenal, and that none of us saw coming. And I think that it's some of the best stuff in Man of Steel. And I think that the Mom Pa Kent stuff and just his Kryptonian parent stuff is some of the worst stuff in this entire film. And my biggest beefs, honestly, with in the film, as far as subject matter, was the stuff with both sets of parents. I just wasn't crazy about them.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I don't understand how they missed the mark on that, besides trying to make it part of the story. And there was other things they could have done.
Right.
They could have followed canon and just done something different. They literally could have made something up. That's honest. I don't know why they didn't do this.
Right.
Instead of being like, oh, this video is the reason everyone turns on him, because as we know, everyone does do that. Like on the internet, like they turn quickly on people. They could have done a fake video of Superman that was super chopped up and been like, oh,
this is
we
the
have
bad
enough
things
people
he's
think
done.
this is proof that it's bad.
And so Binge-worthy here in the chat, and I've pulled it up. What he said actually tracks for me, and it does kind of, I get where he's coming from, which he's basically saying that, like, in the comics, everything, we always see Kryptonians when they do show up, they're not very nice, and Superman has to fight them, and they're always trying to say Zod and all the others are bad. So he's like, basically his point is, it's like, it's kind of on brand for the Kryptonians. Like, maybe that's kind of the thing, is even though Clark's parents weren't necessarily evil, they were still would do something like this. So I guess I can kind of get where you're coming from with that. So that does work.
Yeah, it's just there's so much existing lore. And I mean, Batman or Superman and Action Man have been around forever. Like, for them just to like this far along the road, just to come up with this lore on their own,
right?
So
it's kind of
against the grain for Superman's character,
right? It is a odd choice. And I saw somebody in the chat as well bring up and was wondering, like, did we find out if this was actual, like, if this was legit, if it was actual footage, whatever. And so, according to Mr. Terrific, yes, like Mr. Terrific openly says, like, with these group of hackers that did this and like would translate this, like, this is not made up, this is legit. What's what he said. Now, there could be a thing where they could play it later where Mr. Terrific's actually wrong. Like, there's some other bit of details here, or I don't know. There could be something else.
Yeah, because his reasoning was that these group of hackers wouldn't lie.
Right.
And they're only going to tell the truth because that's what their beliefs are. But then again, they could easily come out and go, well, actually, Lex Luthor employed all of them or something like that.
Right,
could do
right.
Whatever.
To lie or whatever. Yeah, and I see Eternal Glory, you know, talking about mental gymnastics to explain a lot of this stuff. And I hear you, I get it. And I mean, with how much you hated this movie, I could get that that's what it would feel like.
Sure.
Personally, it's like, you know, with not disliking the movie so much, I'm kind of, instead of leaning towards the possible negatives for the things that weren't explained, like, I'm just kind of gonna lean toward maybe it's just not been explained yet. Like, maybe there is more to this, because that's the thing, is like, there's a lot that wasn't fully explained in this movie or spelled out, and I think that some of that was definitely on purpose. He's planning on filling in a lot of blanks in other movies and different things. And we didn't bring up, also, we did get Peacemaker in a very funny little bit, which I thought was cool.
Yeah,
it was basically just shit talking Superman.
Yeah. And but like you're saying though, that's why I think I say with a decent with this. Yeah, maybe that stuff will be explained, and if it is, maybe down the road I'll go, oh, you know, this is now a rad because this wasn't canon at the time because they were just wrong or whatever. But walking out of this movie, there are plenty of things I'm just like, I didn't like this.
Right.
I didn't like these aspects of this movie on its own. But there's plenty of things I did like to offset each other.
It. Right. Exactly. So. Yeah. I think there's some fun that be found here. I honestly kind of more so am now. Like I said, there's a part of me that is kind of wanting to see this again. And I'm curious if my opinion will change much or if it'll stay the same.
Yeah.
I also, one thing that kind of surprised me for having such a packed theater, and I've heard people say that they had really great crowds in this movie. I've heard people say that there were so. Our crowd was pretty quiet.
Very quiet.
Very quiet crowd.
Clapping at the end,
which we have seen in things lately. But we did not in this. And that also affects things, I think, if you're not in a full house or if you're not with the best crowd. I am interested to see my kids' response to this. Like, they might absolutely love it and be cackling throughout and all that stuff. So I do kind of want to see it with them, just because, like I said, this is still to some degree at least geared towards younger audiences. So I'm curious to hear what they think about it by the end of all this. But
yeah, I would be curious to see what the younger crowd thinks. They probably would like it because there is a lot of action.
Yeah,
and maybe they will find it more emotional than like we did.
Right. They very well might. And as Dark Forest pointed out, I guess another cameo there was Bradley Cooper as his dad.
Yeah,
So
and his mom also is somebody.
she was in a Guardians
recognize.
movie. She's done stuff with James Gunn.
Okay, I recognize her. I was like, this is random.
Or Guardians, or maybe that's his wife, actually. No, because his wife is in Peacemaker, so it's not his wife, but she's been in something with the Guardians.
Yeah,
we've seen her, which I mean, he uses a lot of the same people where it's like one of the Guardians chicks that was the one that's Manta. There were a lot of his friends as the Superman's robots because Michael Rooker was in there. We had Palm Contempt, who was one of them. We had who else? Alan Tudyk was one of them, I think, as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was one of the robots as well. And he's also in Creature Commandos. So
he's in like everything as voice acting.
Yeah. So
so what was up with the robots?
They're from the comics.
Are they?
Yeah.
I literally have never heard about Superman having his own army of little robot helpers.
Yeah. It's not in all the comics, but they are in some of the comics, and they actually in some of the early ones looked almost identical.
Okay.
Like
to me, that was one of the things I was like, this is weird, and I'm assuming it's comic accurate, but I wanted to ask because not familiar with the comics.
Right.
So.
And I've not read tons of Superman comics. I have some and I've read some, but not like I was always way more of a Marvel guy unless it was Batman for the most part, or like maybe Green Lantern, or I did collect some. If I was collecting anything, it was like Superman or Superboy. But I still didn't have a ton of it. It was just like a couple comics.
Sure.
So now as far as, and Crisco brought up thoughts about Lois, I think great chemistry between the two. She's smoking hot. She did a great job.
Yeah, she works.
That's the one thing, and I think I've seen other people point out, and we kind of did for a millisecond, but it's like I like that James Gunn likes, unlike most of Hollywood, likes beautiful women and likes to showcase that they are, and is not just like constantly hiding how they look, and is like, hey, I'm gonna put her in a good looking top or a sexy dress or make them look attractive, and not just like, hey, we gotta ugly them up because progress or whatever, like
right.
So I appreciated that about this film, is it felt more like an older film in that regard.
Well, especially with the blonde bimbo that worked at the Daily Planet but didn't do anything. You know what I'm talking about? It was a random blonde
I
chick.
can't remember. She's canon. She's a character from
because she literally was just there talking Lewis's ear off and then like joined them in the aircraft for no reason except that her boobs are half showing.
And she's like banging hot. So
right, and she's just a blonde bimbo. They're just like, we have her here because her boobs are showing.
She's one of the ones from, I can't remember, one of the in the same role kind of a thing.
Sure.
She's from the comics and all this stuff. So that's the thing, is James Gunn, Cat Grant. Yeah, I think. Well, was it Cat Grant? Maybe. I thought it was, that I guess that's right. But anyways, one of the Superman characters. I'm not that deep into Superman lore. But anyway, so I think, I don't know. I want to see this again. I want to process it a little more now that I know what I'm getting and expecting. I still don't think my expectations will go like way higher, but I also don't think I'll like it less. So I don't know. It sounds like,
I feel like even after we've talked about it, I still sticking with the somewhere in the decent. I could go maybe a little over 50%.
Right.
But not much, I don't think.
Right. So but I think that's it, guys. We've gone over a little bit with you guys, but definitely wanted to hit on some of those spoilers, even if not a ton of them. But I'm curious to see, as the reviews keep coming into Criticless, where they are at. We are still, let's see, we are one review higher. We're at 60 reviews, and this one was really high. Jackson Loves Nintendo ended up giving it a most excellent. So we have more coming in, and all the ones tonight have, for the most part, have been higher, except for this one. So we've had decents and up, except for old Eternal Glory, our grump in the chat here. So, but hey,
I mean,
you
like hey, this is gonna be back and forth.
Yeah,
I think
it is.
We're gonna get positives and negatives, and it's just gonna be continual, and that's what we have seen. Just continually with this, it's just kind of going back and forth.
Right. Yeah.
So
so make sure to drop your review when you do see it, if you haven't seen it yet, or if you've already seen it but haven't left your review yet. And to all the Netters people that are coming in, thanks for coming over to here. Now, granted, we're buttoning up. At least we went over for y'all to catch us for a few minutes. If you are watching or in the chat and have not subscribed to this channel, definitely do it. We are really trying to hit 1,000. We're trying to freaking get there.
It's a freaking slog.
It is. The algorithms, especially if you only do lives like we are, it is extra hard. So maybe
Right.
I'll hopefully get back to doing some videos from time to time that'll help us grow along. So we will see. But definitely for everybody that's new to the channel, new to checking our stuff out, thank you. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. It does mean a whole lot to us and helps us grow forward. So yeah, definitely do all those things. And we will see you next week for a movie that we don't know exactly what it is. But before we completely leave you, we need to send you with our send-off song.
Yeah, I was about to say they're here
Yeah.
just in time for
I know,
maybe some new music.
Exactly. We might at least send you off with a new song to listen to, hopefully, if this storm doesn't take us out first. So with the lags and crazy stuff we've had for this episode. But Matt, do you already have a song or something picked out?
Yeah, man.
Okay, what you got?
We do this every week.
Yeah, man.
So this is a newer song called Summer Disease.
Okay.
By Millington.
Okay.
And it's ska.
Okay.
It's like a pop punk ska band. They're relatively small, and this feels like Newfound Glory, but ska.
Okay.
It's fun to listen to. I mean, it's
Right.
got like the trumpets blaring as you'd expect with a ska,
nice.
but it's
So
very
and new ska too. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's a very small band. I think on Spotify they only have like a handful of thousands of like downloads. So yeah,
Nice.
it's something new. Something fun to listen to.
Sweet.
Yeah. What do you got?
So my song is by Balu Brigida. I've been listening to a lot of these guys lately. It's Balu Brigida. Just try and spell it. You'll probably find it on Spotify. But yeah, Balu Brigida, and the song is called Backseat. This song is really cool. It kind of goes. These guys kind of show some technical music prowess in this song to the point where like there's a bit where you're like, this is definitely heavily influenced by Daft Punk. But then in the earlier stuff, it's not really like that a whole lot at all. It's a very cool song. It's an indie band. They kind of have a wide variety, but they do really good stuff. So check out Backseat. It's by Balu Brigida. I think it's really good. We'll add it to the playlist. So make sure to go and check out on our channel, our send-off song playlist, if you want to see what we've been recommending every week. And we will be back before you know it. We'll be here next week. Everybody, that's going to be it. We're shoving off. Take it easy. Love you guys. Later.